Welcome to University Stadium as the number 6 Laurier Golden Hawks, fresh off an 11-10 victory over the Queens Gales last weekend, open up their home schedule against the Carleton Ravens, the only team to get a bye in week number 1 in OUA football. Jack Moore and Jason Hagholm along with you, also listening on Radio Laurier. Jason, big season for both these teams. Let's start with the Carleton Ravens. Tanner DeYoung moves on from the quarterback position. Quarterback battle in camp, it's won by Tristan Lefebvre, and he will be the starting pivot here today for these Carleton Ravens.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the Carleton Ravens handle things, especially at the quarterback position here with Lefebvre. Big opportunity for him, gets that extra week to study with the week 1 bye. And if you're the Carleton Ravens, your 2020 season ended right here at University Stadium at the hands of these very same Golden Hawks. You better get ready and get amped up. That should motivate this Carleton team. If they want to have a big season, they need a big, strong start here, and they're going to need it, especially from Lefebvre.
We talked about Laurier taking on Queens last week, a big battle for the Golden Hawks, a top 10 matchup between those two teams. For Carleton, you don't really get tested much more than this in week number 1, going against a Laurier Golden Hawks team where the expectations are sky high. And again, for Laurier, it starts at the quarterback position. There's a quarterback here in Waterloo where the expectations have gone from young starting quarterback who is the future to the future is now. This guy should compete for an OUA MVP, and he should try and lead us to a Yates Cup championship and a Vanier Cup. That's Taylor Elgersma, third-year quarterback out of London, Ontario.
Yeah, and you know, Taylor Elgersma, real impressive story, as you mentioned, when he got thrown in 2021. You could see the signs that he was going to be a solid quarterback for handling that pressure, being put in a tough situation. He raised his game last year, took Laurier to the postseason, had a playoff win last year, and now it's second year as well, coming off that experience with the Toronto Argonauts, can only make his game better. He couldn't put the ball in the end zone, turned it over once with an interception, but overall a solid game last week, 30 for 39, 286 yards passing through the air. That can only bode very well for this Golden Hawk offense.
Golden Hawks offense had a very good first quarter last week against the Gales, unable to put the ball in the end zone, and then a little bit of something they're not used to from the kicking game. Dawson Hodge goes 3 for 6, and they had to win the game on a rouge. Matt Caruso making the win, what ended up being the winning tackle. Laurier, Ethan Bayfield able to run the ball out on Queen's missed field goal attempt at the end of the game. Bayfield not in the lineup here today. Neither is Tyreek Quayson, who's the typical starting returner for these Laurier Golden Hawks. So the Hawks will have something to find out in the return game, but it is going to be the Carleton Ravens to return the opening kick of the game, and it is going to be Kasim Ferdinand, who was their number 1 option at the receiver spot last year, who's deep to return.
And we'll see what Carleton can do, because the playoff game last year, they really struggled on offense, couldn't get things going, found themselves down 28-0 at the half against these Golden Hawks, where, you know, we talked about it a little off the air for the Golden Hawks. Their offense struggled in week 1 against Queens, could put the ball in the end zone. That was a thing that kind of trickled over from last season. But in that playoff game, the Laurier offense, they were moving the football very well. We'll see what they can do here. And as well, with the expectations being very high in the OUA for Laurier, let's see what they can do with a nice crowd here on Labor Day weekend in their home opener.
27 degrees and going from right to left on your screen, and Dawson Hodge gets us underway with a bouncing kick, and Kasim Ferdinand will return it for the first time this season for the Carleton Ravens. He gets wrapped up and taken
table.
Noah Fahy is the offensive lineman to watch. Second year out of Ottawa, the starting right tackle. He was a 2022 OUA All-Rookie. Kasim Ferdinand, only All-Star on this roster from a season ago, and 1 All-Rookies. Ferdinand makes the catch, a gain of 5, and that'll bring up 2nd and 5 for the Ravens. So a pitch and catch on the first play of the game on the boundary side out.
Hey, go to your go-to guy right off the start. You want to get this offense moving, go to your go-to guy, makes a nice catch, good pitch and catch, took the contact as well, and it's going to be a 2nd and manageable coming up here after the first completion of the season for the Ravens.
So they're going to give him 6 yards on the play, 2nd and 4 here for Carleton. As they line up in shotgun, 3 receivers to the right, 1 running back in. Josh Ferguson, the fifth-year, and they'll hand it up the middle. He tripped over his own foot back to the line of scrimmage, and a 2-and-out for the Golden Hawks defense after the veteran Josh Ferguson trips on 2nd and medium.
Well, it's game one for us in the booth, and it's game one for Carleton, and that right there just showed it there as Ferguson just tripped over his own feet. There was a little bit of a gap going on there up the middle that the Ravens wanted to run that through. Unfortunately, just a pickup of one and a quick 2-and-out for now Carleton.
So the Ravens to punt this one away. Chandra boots this one deep, and the Golden Hawks will return and bring it up to their own 48-yard line. Raiden Thorne on the return for Laurier, and Taylor Elgersma will start from his own 47.
We'll see what Taylor Elgersma can build off of last week, where, as we said, he had a nice game, 30 of 39 passing, close to 300 yards, and he's really developed a nice chemistry last year with Ethan Jordan, the left slot back on this team, but Raiden Thorne was the go-to guy last week, 9 catches for the Golden Hawks.
Quentin Scott in the game at running back. 15 carries for 69 yards last week. He goes up the middle, and he'll gain just 2. 2nd and 8 coming up for the Golden Hawks.
And Quentin Scott's a guy that led the Golden Hawks last week in rushing, and he was someone that really emerged through the depth charts in that run-by-committee kind of style that the Golden Hawks offense ran, had a lot of success in that playoff game, and you can see that Scott, they want to build off what Scott could do at the end of last year into this year.
Golden Hawks going with the tight end to the right of Elgersma. So Raiden Thorne in the slot. Laomi Ojatalayo, the wide receiver, to the left. Ethan Jordan in the slot to the left. Over the middle. Ethan Jordan can't make the catch. And that's going to be a 2-and-out for the Ravens defense. So neither team able to pick up a first down on their opening drive of the game. And Dawson Hodge, Jason McGugan, and the punting unit will have to come out to boot this one away for the Hawks.
Yeah, and that's when Ethan Jordan, I think, is going to have back a good bullet that came on there from Elgersma, but hit Jordan right in the hands. That's when he normally picked up last year. Just bounced off, and a quick 2-and-out for the Golden Hawks.
Dawson Hodge with a high spiraling punt with the wind behind him. And Othman Brahm inside his own 10 to return this one. Gets up to the 15 before he gets taken down by this stout Golden Hawks special teams unit. And that's where the Ravens will start this drive, just out of the shadow of their own goalpost.
Great work by the Laurier special teams. Really let Brahm go and have nowhere to operate from. And Carleton will start deep within their own end, the ball in their own 15-yard line. If you remember in that playoff game, field position was a big factor as well. Carleton really couldn't move the football down the field until late into the third quarter.
Real nice uniform matchup we have in this one, too. The Golden Hawks all purple, head to toe. The Ravens all white, head to toe. Tristan Lefebvre back in at quarterback here for the Carleton Ravens on their second drive of the game. Joshua Ferguson in at running back, and he'll take the handoff to his right, up the middle, and Brendan Omanua makes the tackle for the Golden Hawks after a gain of 5 yards, 2nd and 5 for the Ravens.
I think that's the play that the Ravens wanted to execute before the 2-and-out the last time, but get it to Ferguson, spots that opening, and Omanua makes a great individual tackle on the speed and the downhill running there from Ferguson.
Ravens on the ball immediately. They'll reset and get the audible from the sideline. So they line up 2nd and 5 from the left hash. Lefebvre, quick out, and that one falls incomplete. So the Ravens go 2-and-out once again. Tristan Reddy couldn't make the catch for Carleton.
I don't think Tristan was ready on that one, as that one he's going to want to have back. Quick pitch and catch just right through the hands of Reddy, and another 2-and-out for Carleton. And depending on the punt, this should give Laurier some good field position to start their second offensive drive.
We saw Raiden Thorne return the first one. Ethan Jordan, the lone returner, back for the Golden Hawks. As Chandra ready to boot this one away again. A nice high spiraling punt into the wind, and Jordan takes it at his own 46-yard line, and a great tackle down the field. Von Eensendale, the long snapper, who's a backup linebacker, making the play. Just a return of 5 yards for Ethan Jordan, but the Golden Hawks do get good field positioning on their own 51.
Well, Carl Von Eensendale with a great individual tackle there, the third-year aerospace engineering major from Abbotsford, British Columbia. He's used to that hang time and made a good play there to deny a good return for the Golden Hawks.
So what I'm hearing you say is long snappers are smart guys.
Hey, you know what? Underrated players on these football teams.
1st and 10 from their own 51. Quentin Scott up the middle, breaks a tackle in the backfield, but he won't be able to get away from the Ravens defensive line. First rush was for 2 yards, second rush for 1 yard, and another 2nd and long here for the Golden Hawks. They'll give them 2, and that'll bring up 2nd and 8.
It's early, but the Ravens defensive line, they're doing a good job crashing, beating the Laurier offensive line into the punch off the start. Scott's got nowhere to go as he once again picks up just 2 yards.
Nathan Clark making the tackle. Ife Onyeka was in there as well for the Ravens. Golden Hawk fans would know his last name, Godfrey Anakis, some family members that played here at Laurier's. Jackson Stebbings makes the catch. And that's a gain of 4 yards, so that'll bring up 3rd and 4 for the Hawks, and Dawson Hodge will have to punt this one away again.
That's a good tackle there by number 43, Xavier Malone. Stebbings makes the catch, but he got gobbled up. Nowhere for him to go to pick up some extra yak, so it's a 3rd and 3, so Laurier will have to punt.
Dawson Hodge to boot this one away for the second time, and another high spiraling punt for the Golden Hawks. Takes a bounce, and that's going to be a rouge for Laurier on a long punt from Dawson Hodge. 52 yards away, it bounced 10 yards in the end zone, and then rolls out of the back. Unbelievable punt from the Golden Hawks' 3rd year, 4.5-star recruit kicker, Dawson Hodge, who comes into this season with high expectations, Jason.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Hodge is one of those guys that, you know, he filled in that kicker role his first year, succeeded greatly, and now it's really been, he's been the offense in some aspects for the Golden Hawks. He hit some big field goals last week, and his rouges were huge for the Golden Hawks in that tight 11-10 win over Queens, and right now Laurier goes up 1-0 after another fantastic punt by Hodge.
You talk to Dawson, he would want to make those other 3 field goals, but at the end of the day, they got the win, and he's able to move on to week number 2 at 1-0 and a 6th ranking in the USports season. It's Joshua Ferguson and Brendan Omanua on the tackle. In there is Abraham Odiasi as well. Sorry, that's Alex Gale on the carry for the Carleton Ravens, the veteran who spent some time with the Edmonton Elks in training camp in 2022. He was a part of the Edmonton Huskies in the Canadian Junior Football League. He comes into this Carleton Ravens program to spell off the rushing with Joshua Ferguson. And so much so, the Edmonton Elks liked him. Chris Jones showed up to some winter and spring practices as a flag flies before 2nd and medium on 2nd and 6. And this one will go against the Golden Hawks and move Carleton up to 2nd and very short.
Yeah, Laurier just trying to time the cadence there, and just a little too early were the linebacking core. And it's going to be a penalty there, offside on Laurier. It'll be 2nd and 1 here for the Ravens.
Kevin Mickelbro, the referee, the veteran referee in the OUA, one of the most respected officials in Ontario University football. Tristan Lefebvre on 2nd and 1 in shotgun. Alex Gale's the running back. He'll take the handoff up the middle, gets met, goes down, and picks up a 1st down. So the Golden Hawks make a stop, but 1 yard too far, and Alex Gale picks up a 1st down for the Carleton Ravens.
That was a good job, though, by Gale as well. He got met, but he was able to bounce off the tackle and do what they tell you, fall forward, and he picked up that 1 yard the Ravens needed to move the sticks.
Ife Onyenanum making the tackle for the Golden Hawks, drafted by the Toronto Argonauts in the offseason, went to training camp, came back for his 5th year, spelling off the linebacking duties with Ethan Gregorczyk, freshman middle linebacker, as that pass is complete. Frederick Hashi making the catch, and that's going to be a gain of 3 yards, and 2nd and 7 coming up for the Carleton Ravens.
Hashi had to come back for that ball, and then he was met by a host of Golden Hawks there to really deny any chance of some forward progress there. But good job by this Laurier defense. They're able to spot where that ball's going and really not let the receivers pick up some extra yards there on the, I believe, the first completion of the game here for the Ravens.
2nd completion of the game, but Hashi gets his first catch of the season. He had 28 a year ago for 479 yards and 2 touchdowns. 2nd and long, 2nd and 7. Alex Gale and Onyenanum makes the tackle 4 yards past the line of scrimmage. That'll bring up 3rd and 3 for the Carleton Ravens, and they'll have to punt this one away again.
And that was some great pressure there by Ethan Gregorczyk as he got right up in the face of the quarterback in Lefebvre, but Lefebvre did well, dumped it off, just couldn't pick up enough yards there, was Gale.
Braden Thorne deep to return for the Golden Hawks as this punt bounces at the 20-yard line, and Thorne brings it upfield before being taken down. And the Laurier Golden Hawks will start from their own 26 on this drive with 7.5 to go in the first quarter in a 1-0 Laurier lead.
And we'll see what the Golden Hawks can do offensively. The offense so far in those first two possessions really stalling, can't get anything going, especially trying to start up the run. The Ravens have been able to gobble up that run and some incompletions and just short of the mark before, but they are giving Elgersma, he's getting that time in the pocket to set up and find his receivers at least.
Quentin Scott on the handoff from Elgersma, drives up the middle, gets across the 30. Nice gain of 7 yards, and that'll bring up 2nd and 3 for Quentin Scott, so his biggest rush of the game on Laurier's third series offensively.
And that's what you want to do with Quentin Scott. You want to get the big guys up front to make those holes and let them explode. He's got a great acceleration burst, and he saw it right there. Picked up a nice gain of 8, they'll actually say, so 2nd and 2.
2nd and 2 for the Hawks. Darian Bassick-Hayden in at running back for Laurier. They bring in a heavy set as well. Sebastian Parasolidis in at fullback. Bassick-Hayden drives forward and runs over Othman Brahm for the first down on the gain of 7. Big running back for the Golden Hawks, 5'9", 215 pounds. And the psychology major picks up a first for the Hawks for the first time today.
Well, you don't need to know much about psychology there. That was a great old school football run. Get up the middle and put the body on, as that's what Bassick-Hayden did. Moves the sticks, puts some content in, shows what kind of runner he's going to be in a big first down for Laurier.
No Tanner Nelms for the Golden Hawks this week. So Quentin Scott and Bassick-Hayden will spell off the rushing duties, and Scott gets it again. He'll gain 3, maybe 4, and bring up a 2nd and medium here with 2nd and 6 on the gain of 4.
And Oden Altidore, he was able to get on the edge there and see where Quentin Scott was able to go, cut him down, because once Quentin Scott, if he was able to turn that corner, that's where he's most dangerous. He gets that space, he can turn the corner, he really can put on the Jets, but the Oden Altidore didn't let that happen, so gain of 4 here for Laurier.
2nd and 6 here for the Golden Hawks from their own 44-yard line. Elgersma drops back to pass, he looks left. Ethan Jordan makes the catch, picks up a first down. Big gain of 10 yards for the Golden Hawks, and that'll move the sticks once again. So for the first time today, starting to put a drive together.
And that's what you want to see. Laurier doing a good job of using the run to set up the pass, and Elgersma finds his favorite target from last year for his first completion of the game in Ethan Jordan.
Bassick-Hayden back in at running back on 1st and 10 from their own 54. Elgersma with 4 receivers to his right. He'll hand off. Bassick-Hayden breaks a tackle and drives forward. Another tackle, a gain of 11 yards, and that's a first down for the Hawks.
Oh.
The wrecking ball, Darian Bassick-Hayden.
Bad man Bassick-Hayden with how he's able to just put his body on there and just run over some Raven defenders. Old school like Mike Alstad or TJ Duckett back in the day in the old NFL, but you like to see that. And Laurier going by that run by committee there. They got the quick speed and they got the big power back right now, still with Bassick-Hayden in.
1st and 10 from the Carleton 44. Cross center field for the first time today. Bassick-Hayden on the handoff, and he gets met immediately. Onyeka makes the tackle at the line of scrimmage, along with a few other Ravens, and that'll bring up 2nd and long for the Hawks.
Well, as we've seen, Bassick-Hayden, he may have some power on the one-on-one matchups, but that was a 3-on-1 scenario. Great pressure by the Ravens defensive line. They were able to wrap up Bassick-Hayden for no gain.
2nd and 10 here for the Golden Hawks. Chris Toupin in on the tackle as well there for the Carleton Ravens. Trips to Elgersma's right, that's where he goes. Ojatalayo makes the catch. Gains a few, give him 7 yards. That'll bring up 3rd and 3, and Dawson Hodge will have to come in for a field goal here for the Golden Hawks, as this will be a 45-yarder with the wind at his back.
And just a little shy there of the first down. Ojatalayo, he ate the contact but couldn't stretch out for fear of coughing up the football. Short, good work by the Ravens defense, and now we get to see what Dawson Hodge can do. Was 50% last week, 3 of 6 from field goal range, and he wants to start week 2 off, especially the home opener, off on the right foot.
Officially 44 yards for Dawson Hodge. Went 3 of 6 last week against the Queens Gales. Hodge puts it up and missed it to the left. Kasim Ferdinand will bring it out of the end zone for the Carleton Ravens. And Ferdinand gets dropped at the 6-yard line, so Carleton will start at their own 20. So make that 3 of 7 on the season for Dawson Hodge. And he misses the first one of this game. And you can see Dawson Hodge pleading his case with the officials from here, saying that that one made it inside the left upright. And he'll go have a conversation with Kevin Mickelbro and his crew.
Well, if anyone would know how the wind and how the uprights are here at University Stadium, it would be Dawson Hodge, but we'll see what he can do pleading his case. And usually that doesn't work out, but that could be also the frustration for Hodge now. 3 of 7, as you mentioned, Jack, for a guy that was pretty much automatic last year when he was put in field goal situations.
So the Carleton Ravens will take over 1st and 10 from their own 20-yard line. This offense back out onto the field hasn't been able to get much going for them so far in this game offensively. Lefebvre 3 of 4 for 13 yards. Ferguson and Gale have a combined 12 yards on 4 carries. But the Golden Hawks defense traditionally has had that stout defensive line and linebacking core, but you could really make the argument this season that the strength of this team comes in the defensive backfield and the DB position. You bring in Jahari Hastings from Simon Fraser, Nico McCarthy at strong safety, Malik Cote-Azor, Chris Haggart was the defensive player of the week last week for the Golden Hawks. So this is really where this Golden Hawk team thrives, is in the defensive backfield.
And that's going to be huge, especially when this season progresses and you play some of those teams with a little bit more stronger offenses. What can you do to stop some of their weapons? But having just a veteran presence defensively is huge for Laurier.
1st and 10 for the Ravens. And the ball comes out. It's loose. Lefebvre will jump on it on his own 11-yard line. That'll be a loss of 9 for Carleton and bring up 2nd and very long as Alex Gale and Tristan Lefebvre cross signals. But they are able to recover it and not give Laurier's offense a short field.
Well, good job by Lefebvre. That ball just popped up right where he was so he could fall in it. But that could have been near disaster there for the Ravens. You can just see how important this defense has been and the growth they've had, forcing near turnovers right there. As this defensive line, as you talked about, we talked about the defensive backs, but this D-line, I think, is one of the best, if not one of the top 5 in the country.
Lefebvre fires this one out, and that is caught, but just a gain of 3 yards on the play. And that'll bring up the punting unit again for the Carleton Ravens late in this first quarter as Frederick Hashi makes the catch for the Carleton Ravens.
Yeah, I was just trying to pick up as much yards, I think, there as the Ravens could safely to get a good boot here. It's 3rd and 15, and they're going to try to flip the field with a nice punt here as Ethan Jordan will be the return man for the Golden Hawks.
So we've seen Raiden Thorne twice. We've seen Ethan Jordan twice on punt return here. And Chandra will just take a knee in the end zone and concede the 2 points with the wind in his face. So the Laurier Golden Hawks take a 3-0 lead with 2 minutes exactly to go in the first quarter of this Week 2 matchup between Laurier and Carleton. The Carleton Ravens coming off their bye, so you mentioned off the top of the broadcast, this is their first game since their playoff loss here at University Stadium last season. And overall, the first quarter, I think the Carleton Ravens can say, hey, we've come in, we've done our thing defensively. We just need to start moving the ball a little bit more as we come into the closing minutes of quarter number 1.
Yeah, I think that was the thing they thought in the playoff game. The benefit, though, is that their defense has been able to shut down this Laurier offense as well. They're not down 14-0 at one point. It's a very competitive game, just 3-0.
2022 second-team All-Star Quentin Scott with the handoff and the gain of 6 brings up 2nd and 4 for the Golden Hawks. Quentin Scott with 1,116 yards on the season on 159 carries in those 10 games, including the 2 playoff games. He also had 8 touchdowns. Really established himself as a premier back in the Ontario University Football Conference.
Yeah, he absolutely did, and really did it a bit late in the season, but you know what? It's that run by committee. You can have someone else step in, carry the water for a bit. It's nice to have.
4 receivers to the right, over the middle. Ethan Jordan makes the catch. That's a gain of 6 yards and a first down for the Hawks as Ethan Jordan moves the sticks. And like you mentioned, Raiden Thorne got the bulk of the catches and the work at the receiver position last week, but you know Ethan Jordan can pop off at any time. He proved that last season as one of the premier receivers in the OUA.
Yeah, and you can just see the trust that they have where Scott came out of the backfield, looked like he was the viable option, but trust your go-to guy, and Jordan picked up the first down.
Taylor Elgersma on 1st and 10, drops back to pass. Ojutalayo makes the catch at the Carleton 44. Big gain for the Golden Hawks, and they once again move into Carleton territory.
And that's the benefit of just running the ball, doing a little bit of dink and dunk with the passing. That long ball is going to be there, and Ojutalayo is right there for the catch, his second grab of the day, and I think he's looking to have a breakout season this year, Jack.
He really is, in the big body, 6'3", 200 pounds, and this guy's all muscle. Impressive at the wide receiver spot, but it's a crowded, talented receiver room as Elgersma pulls this one, puts it over the top for Ryan Spate, and he can't make the catch, just out of his reach. So that'll bring up 2nd and 10 for the Laurier Golden Hawks, but Ryan Spate trying to pop the top off. When we talk about talented receiver room, he's probably 4 or 5 on the depth chart, but has the ability to go off as well.
Yeah, absolutely, and Spate, that's just out of the reaches of his fingertips there. If he can even get a fingertip, and he's got the ability to make a one-handed grab, bring that in, and he's off to the races right there. As we do have an injured Golden Hawk down right now. That's number 67, the center, Tanner Elson. So
3rd year from Oakville.
Good to see him get up under his own power.
6'4", 280, and this Golden Hawks team had a lot of injuries at offensive line last year. They wanted to fix that coming into this season. Zach Scotto, the offensive line coach, really trying to get this unit working as one. We saw a couple years ago where they were able to play the same 5 guys all 8 games in the regular season. Well, that went away last year where it felt like every week they were just moving pieces around on that offensive line. Alex Pagozzo is now gone, the 5th-year center last season, as the staple in the middle of that offensive line. 2nd and 10 for the Hawks, and Rayton Thorne moves early. So that's going to push Laurier back 5 and into 2nd and 15.
Just a little too excited there was Rayton Thorne. Maybe trying to go for the deep ball there, but once again, offsides bite the Golden Hawks. First on defense, now on offense. So 2nd and 15 here for Laurier as we're approaching the end of the first quarter with just 16 seconds left.
So they'll start the clock here on the whistle in. So the game clock is below the play clock as Elgersma looks to wind up. He'll take off and get taken down in the backfield. Ife Onyeka getting home for the Carleton Ravens. A loss of 1, and that brings up 3rd and long. And the Golden Hawks are out of Dawson Hodge field goal range. They'll have to punt this one away.
Great tackle there by Ife Onyeka, the 4th-year arts major. Onyekas have had many successful moments on this field, but this time the Carleton Ravens version does it and pushes the Hawks out of field goal range.
Dawson Hodge with the wind at his back for the final time here in the first quarter as Kasim Ferdinand up the field, down at his own 15-yard line. And a flag flies after the play. And it looks like it was the Carleton special teams unit on Ryan Spate that'll be getting this penalty. In the area of Matt Morin. But the Carleton Ravens on the return. So Ryan Spate called on the penalty for spearing. That's 15 yards. So Carleton will start at their own 30-yard line when the second quarter starts. Laurier leads this one 3-0 through 1 quarter of play. You're listening to Laurier Golden Hawk football on Radio Laurier and watching on OUA TV. We're back for quarter number 2. 1st and 10 for the Carleton Ravens as they'll hand off on first down. Josh Ferguson on the carry. On Yenenum making the hit at the line of scrimmage, maybe a gain of 2, brings up 2nd and 8 for the Ravens.
Onyenenim slowed down the progress there of Ferguson before Luke Brubaker. He finished him off with a good tackle there, and this defensive line's really been tough for the Ravens to get some offense going through the ground as they're trying to battle their way through. Just a pickup of 3 that time for Ferguson.
So they do give them 3, 2nd and 7 here for the Carleton Ravens. They'll hand off to Ferguson. Luke Brubaker knocks out the football. They might have held on to it there. I thought a football drop, that might have been a glove. His gain of 4 yards will bring up 3rd and 2.
I think the football did move, but it bounced right back into the body there of Ferguson. But not enough there for 3rd and 2, I should say, as the punting team is back out for the Ravens.
Luke Brubaker making the initial hit, 6'6", 260. Big man to make that open field tackle. High spiraling punt down to the Laurier 20-yard line, and the Golden Hawks will bring it up the field. And they'll go down at their own 32-yard line. Titan Godin on the return for the Hawks, making his first impact for this Laurier team on the return of 12 yards.
Well, you can see Laurier, they're just trying to find that right guy to give him the burst on the punt returns, and it was Titan Godin's turn that time, and picks up 12, and we'll see what Godin can do here as a member of the Golden Hawks. It's his first year from Waterloo, a kinesiology major here at Laurier.
Taylor Elgersma back on the field. Quentin Scott, the running back, takes the handoff and gets met in the backfield. A loss of 3. A big play from the Carleton defense. Nathan Clark getting home for the Ravens.
Great tackle there by Clark. He anticipated what the play was going to be, where Scott was going to go, beat his man on the offensive line, and just great individual tackle for. They're going to call it officially a loss of 2, but nonetheless, Laurier goes backward to start their first drive of the second quarter.
2nd and 12 for the Hawks from their own 31-yard line. Play action to Scott. Elgersma gets wrapped up and taken down. Michael Lightbody finishing it off. And the Carleton Ravens defense getting home once again. And the Golden Hawks having struggles offensively here in the first half as we're early in the second quarter and an injured Hawks offensive lineman on the field. We already saw Elson leave the game, and the Golden Hawks are down another offensive lineman here on this drive early in quarter number 2.
Can't make the number out right now of who's the injured Golden Hawk offensive lineman, but you don't want that to start developing to be a problem.
At the Laurier 52-yard line and the Carleton 53, so we'll wait on the calls from the officials.
And that wasn't the start offensively Laurier wanted to have in the second half. Or excuse me, second quarter, as we wait the officials to say what the flag's for.
So Jahari Hastings gets called on the no yards, the transfer from Simon Fraser, who steps into that boundary halfback spot for the Golden Hawks. Really impactful defender, but he gets clipped for the 5-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. So Carleton starts 1st and 10 from the Laurier 51. Good field positioning here in the second quarter. They'll line up 1st and 10. Lefebvre will drop back to pass. That one is out and complete. Kasim Ferdinand makes the catch, and they'll mark him right at the line to gain, and it looks like they'll give him the first down.
Yeah, I was wondering whether to give him the spot. He got tackled just behind the line, but feet were with control and possession at the line to gain, so good call on the first down. And you want to talk about, we talked about how important Ferdinand would be. He's really done everything offensively and on special teams for Carleton so far today.
Arnett Smith, the fullback, getting the handoff, and Amari Hastings, the brother of Jahari Hastings, making the tackle for the Golden Hawks. A gain of 2 yards for Carleton. That brings up 2nd and 8.
Well, Carleton trying to put a drive together, and you know, so far so good for Carleton quarterback here in Tristan Lefebvre, and he's got a guy in Ferguson who, or excuse me, in Ferdinand now, 2 catches for 16 yards. And just starting to get things going.
Lefebvre in shotgun, 2nd and 8, right hash from the Laurier 39-yard line. Lefebvre over the middle, wide open. Ferdinand makes the catch down at the Laurier 13-yard line. Another big play for the Carleton Ravens. The #1 target for Carleton, Kasim Ferdinand, officially down at the Laurier 14, and another first down for the Ravens.
Well, it's been all Ferdinand on this drive for the Ravens. He picked up a first down, got wide open, beat his man, some breakdown in coverage, and he made Laurier pay.
Tristan Reddy in the end zone, can't make the catch. And Laurier's defense making the play. Tristan Miller and Chris Haggart in coverage on the field side for the Golden Hawks. 2nd and 10 for the Ravens from the Laurier 14 right hash.
And Lefebvre, he tried to drop that right in the bucket into Reddy's hands with the 2-on-1 coverage against Reddy. Did bounce off his hands, but just couldn't bring it on in. But you can see the arm strength and the accuracy ability that Lefebvre does bring to the table here for the Carleton Ravens.
You mentioned how important Kasim Ferdinand is. 3 catches, 41 yards, long of 25 in this one so far. Play clock at 4 for the Carleton Ravens. They got to get going, and they will get the snap off. This one quickly out to Reddy, makes the catch, sidesteps a tackle down at the 12-yard line. Make that the 7-yard line. So Carleton has a choice, and they'll go to the heavy unit. So not going with the field goal. They'll 3rd and 2, a long 2. And they will bring out the field goal unit in Brandon Forcier.
I was going to say, I do respect trying to be aggressive and going for it, but in a game how it's been this tight offensively, I think you want to take your points here and try to tie us up at 3.
I'll explain my thought process after the kick from Forcier. 14-yard attempt, and it's good. When I heard heavy coming from the Carleton bench, 3rd and short, you think it's the heavy package to try and pick up the first down. 2 different field goal units in Canadian football. You have your field goal heavy unit, which is inside the 25. Anything outside 25 yards, you go with your speed or your quick unit, which is going to be the ones who can get downfield and cover a missed kick. So just the terminology difference there for the Carleton Ravens. But they tie this game at 3. 9.5 minutes to go in the second quarter. And the Golden Hawks offense back out onto the field. Taylor Elgersma got sacked on his last snap of the game. 1st and 10 from their own 35. Quentin Scott cuts to the left. Scott up the field, picks up the first down. A gain of 11 for the Golden Hawks running back. That's his biggest rush of the game.
And you can see why Scott is so dangerous because, yes, he's got that explosive burst, but his quick cutting ability, he was going to go right up the middle, decided to go to the left side of the field, picked up that extra yard, saw that daylight, and picks up a first down here for Laurier.
Bassick Hayden back in at running back. 3 carries, 20 yards, long of 12 so far in this one. 1st and 10 from their own 46. Bassick Hayden follows the lead block, drives himself forward, and he'll pick up 5 yards. 2nd and 5 coming up for the Golden Hawks.
A host of Ravens got to bring down Bassick Hayden once again. And once again, good running there by Bassick Hayden. Didn't have to feel the need to run someone over. Did the right thing, follow the lead blockers, and pick up a 2nd and medium here. 2nd and 5 now for the Golden Hawks.
Taylor Elgersma will line up in shotgun with Bassick Hayden directly behind him. Two receivers to his right, his two favorite targets in Rayton Thorne and Ethan Jordan. 2nd and 5. Elgersma, Ethan Jordan makes the catch and gets hammered immediately. Louis Laveau with a big hit, 2 yards short of the line to gain. And that sparks the Carleton sideline.
That was a devastating hit by Laveau. Met Jordan one-on-one, put the shoulder in him, so it's a clean hit. And give credit as well to Jordan. That was a jaw rattler. He did hang on to it and gain control. He's just short of the yards to gain, so a 3rd and 2 here for Laurier. But man, what a play there, and that's a play from the defense that can transit that energy back to the offense for Carleton.
Louis Laveau dropping the hammer from that boundary corner spot for the Carleton Ravens is Dawson Hodge to punt this one away from his own 54 on 3rd and 2. High spiraling punt into the wind for Dawson Hodge. Othman Brahm right up the middle, slips a tackle, and then gets dropped down to the turf by the Golden Hawks cover unit, who've had a pretty good game in this one, and Carleton will start at their own 21.
Yeah, this right now, it's been the classic Canadian-style game, battle of field position, and good work there by Dawson Hodge, able to flip the field really as well, let Carleton have nowhere to return that and give them starting from their own 21-yard line.
Just over midway through this second quarter, tied at 3 between these two teams. Two quarterbacks only have a combined 4 incompletions, but they only have a combined 108 yards through the air. It's really been the running game that's got going for both teams. Laurier at 56 rushing yards, Carleton Ravens at 13. They'll go to the ground as Ferdinand on the jet sweep to his right. Breaks a few tackles, but gets strung out to the side. Gain of 2 yards, and that will bring up 2nd and long for the Ravens.
Good work by the Laurier defense. They weren't going to get fooled by that attempt at the misdirection using the jet sweep. Ferdinand, who was so pivotal on that last drive for the Carleton Ravens. They go back to him, this time on the ground, but nowhere to go. Gain of 3 for Carleton.
Tristan Lefebvre. 2nd and 7 here for the Ravens. Ferguson, the running back. Lefebvre, 2nd and long. He'll throw this one out quickly. Ferdinand can't make the catch with Onyenanum and Cote Azor in coverage for the Hawks. And Carleton will have to boot this ball away.
Great work there by the Laurier defense. Good bounce back drive after the Ravens were able to move the football on them and let Carleton pick up points. A quick 2 and out. That's what you like to see for this Laurier defense, who we've talked about how pivotal they're going to be in really all aspects, whether it's the front four, the linebacking core, or the secondary.
Joey Chandra on to boot this one away from his own 26-yard line, averaging 42.5 yards a punt. He gets another good one away, end over end to the Laurier 38. Titan Godin on the return. He has some space and gets chopped down at the Carleton 54-yard line. That's a nice tackle by Ben Huckabone to not allow Titan Godin to spark a name for himself here at Laurier, as the Ravens have an injured cover team player down on the field. But the Hawks will start with some good field positioning here.
Yeah, Huckabone made that great tackle, because if Godin can break that tackle or make a man miss, he's got plenty of room down the right side of the field here. But that's a nice return for what you want to see here in Titan Godin, as we do have a Raven down.
So the Golden Hawks have a de facto built-in timeout here before they start this short field drive from the Carleton 54 with an injured player out on the field. And it is Andrew Christie, the Raven, down on the field here. We mentioned the heat here today, just shy of 30 degrees, but with the Humidex feels upwards of 35. The turf very hot.
And you're wearing those pads, that heat just sticks in them.
And no cloud cover here today. It's sunny, and you're in it
yeah.
the entire time down on those sidelines. The Laurier Golden Hawks have those mist fans at the back of their sideline. Also a tent. The Ravens do have a tent as well, but Andrew Christie gets back up to his feet and will get helped off the field here. Not what you want to see for the Carleton Ravens in game one, but they're hanging in tough here. 3-3 with just under 6 minutes to go in the first half.
Yeah, you don't want to see your bodies get hurt, but I mean, that is the aspect of what unfortunately happens, and especially getting carried off the field. So hopefully it's nothing too serious here for Christie, as he's going to get looked at by the Ravens training staff. But we'll see what the Golden Hawks can do. That nice return gets them close to just getting over into the Ravens territory.
1st and 10 from the Carleton 54 for the Golden Hawks. Quentin Scott on the handoff. He'll bounce it to the outside and get chopped out of bounds. Louis Laveau, but there is a flag that flies behind the play. Maybe a gain of 2 for Quentin Scott, but we'll see what the flag is here from our officials. Kevin Mickelbro. Not too busy, but a little bit busy in this one as a holding call goes against the Hawks. Corey Grant has a decision to make whether he wants to take it or bring up 2nd and 8. And it looks like he'll push the Hawks back to 1st and 20. So Raiden Thorne called on the penalty for the Golden Hawks on the holding call. 1st and 20 coming up for the Hawks at their own 46-yard line. Taylor Elgersma 6 of 8 for 50 yards in this one. Quentin Scott 7 carries for 31 yards. Darian Bassick-Hayden 4 carries for 25. So 106 total yards for this Laurier offense. They go play action to Scott. Ethan Jordan in space. Oja Talayo with the block. A gain of 5 brings up 2nd and 15 and a 2nd and very long for Laurier to try and pick up at the midway point of this 2nd quarter.
Well, Laurier tried to run that mixed direction with the play action and hoped to catch that Raven defense sleeping, but they were not. They were wide awake, able to gobble up Jordan. Only gain of 5, as you said, Jack. Now 2nd and 15 here for the Golden Hawks.
Line to gain is the Carleton 44. Laurier starts at their own 51. Elgersma in shotgun with Quentin Scott as the running back. Elgersma over the middle. That pass is caught, and that's a 1st down for the Laurier Golden Hawks. Jace Atkinson down to the Carleton 42.
Well, that's a big play by the 1st year from Cloverdale, British Columbia, making an impact, getting off. Good slant route ran by him and moves the sticks for Laurier.
2 receptions for 17 yards last week against Queens. His longest was 10. And he did have a 17-yard catch there for the Golden Hawks and moved the sticks on 2nd and very long.
And if you have someone like Jace Atkinson, a 1st year, really make an impact with, you know, what we've talked about with Ethan Jordan and Raiden Thorne, now you have another weapon that defenses have to worry about.
And really, if you look at the depth chart, he's behind Oja Talayo, Jackson Stebbings. There's Raiden Thorne downfield, makes the catch at the 20 and goes out at the 17. Another big play for the Golden Hawks. 25 yards and another 1st down.
And that was another good play action there for Elgersma and Raiden Thorne, able to get downfield. And Thorne, he's just been developing his confidence from the end of last season to the beginning of this season. He's become one of the go-to guys here for Elgersma.
Had 10 receptions for 93 yards last week. Just made his 2nd catch of the day. He's up to 49. Elgersma looking to Thorne again, and that falls incomplete. Louis Laveau in coverage for the Carleton Ravens to the short side of the field. 2nd and 10 for the Hawks. They marked Raiden Thorne down on that last pass out at the 18-yard line. 2nd and 10 here for Elgersma.
That's a fun one-on-one battle there between Thorne and Laveau, who's really stepped his game up since that big hit on Ethan Jordan.
2nd and 10, left hash for the Hawks. Elgersma throws this one to Jackson. Stebbings makes the catch, and he'll go out of bounds just short of the goal line. Jackson Stebbings with a big catch. That's a gain of 17, and Laurier's knocking on the door for the 1st time this season.
Good work by the Golden Hawks, getting some other guys in there. Another 1st year from British Columbia, Jackson Stebbings was able to beat his man, make the catch, dove for the end zone just shy, but 1st and goal here for the Golden Hawks.
Taylor Elgersma, he'll line up under center. Sebastian Parasolitis right beside him. Elgersma to his left, over the top. Touchdown, Laurier. Taylor Elgersma gets the Golden Hawks' 1st touchdown of the season. And the Hawks find the end zone for the 1st time in this game for either team.
Well, good work really by Elgersma on the short yardage. Saw where that opening was, dove over, but great work by him overall, finding his receivers, able to find his man, Raiden Thorne, to set that one up. But before that, big catch by the Golden Hawks youngsters, really setting them up with Atkinson getting things going as well. You like to see it as well, and Jackson Stebbings.
Elgersma had a touchdown last year on 125 rushing yards and 32 carries. He punches it in from the 1. Jackson Stebbing, the holder. Flag on the extra point as Dawson Hodge is good on his first extra point attempt of the season. So we'll await the call from the officials. Too many men on the field for Carleton, and it looks like Laurier will apply it on the kickoff with 3:27 to go in the first half.
But that's a great drive there for the Golden Hawks. They got set up off the good punt return by another newcomer on this team in number 84 in Titan Godun. And then they moved the football nicely through the air with some youngsters. And then, of course, Raiden Thorne as well. And then Elgersma calls his own number, punches it in. That's a good confidence builder for a drive as we're heading to the end of that, towards halftime.
And we talk about that with the quality of players in that receiving core for the Golden Hawks. Raiden Thorne beats you on that drive. Ethan Jordan didn't have a catch on that drive. Nope. It was Stebbings, and it was Atkinson. Elgersma punched it in. Raiden Thorne with a couple big plays for the Golden Hawks in this one. And for the first time this season, first time in 6 quarters, the Golden Hawks have finished a drive in the end zone, so you know that Todd Galloway and this coaching staff want that to spark some swagger in this offense and try and put some more points on the board, but they get it done there, and they take a 10-3 lead with just under 4 minutes to go in half number 1.
And you think the way your defense playing, you can force a quick tune-out. You can get the ball back and try to do that exactly once again, move the football down the field and try to get points before halftime.
Hodge boots this one away. High kick down to the goal line, and Othman Brahm will return this one for the Carleton Ravens. He has a crease. Dawson Hodge knocks the football out, and Laurier's got it. Dawson Hodge knocked that football out. We haven't got a signal yet from the official. It looked like it was underneath the Golden Hawk. Carleton's defense starts running onto the field. Still waiting on a call from the official. And it is going to be Carleton ball. But Dawson Hodge knocked that ball out, and what looked like Othman Brahm had a step to the Laurier end zone.
Well, you know what? Your kicker's normally the last line of the fence, and it doesn't normally work out for them. But what a play by Hodge to at least put the ball on the turf. That's twice in this game that the Golden Hawks have forced Carleton to put the ball on the carpet, though. They can't recover it, but that's an issue that you know the Ravens want to adjust. Ball security, as that could have been disastrous for the Ravens going to halftime with a short field for Laurier.
So Carleton avoids a scare. 1st and 10 from their own 33-yard line. Lefebvre to his right. Alex Gale will make the catch. Duncan Noddy can't make the tackle. Nico McCarthy forces Gale out of bounds. A big gain there for the Ravens. Goes out of bounds at his own 47-yard line, and that moves the sticks for Carleton.
Yeah, good job coming out of the backfield that time was Alex Gale. Makes the reception and took a good pop there from the 5th year in Nico McCarthy, but more importantly moves the sticks for the Ravens. 1st and 10 for Carleton.
3-minute warning of the first half as the Ravens up to their own 47, 1st and 10 right hash. Tristan Lefebvre drops back to pass, quickly gets it out to Reddy. Makes the catch, gain of 8 yards, give him 9, and that'll bring up 2nd and 1.
Already after a little bit of a slow start for him in this game, he's becoming a nice factor for this Ravens offense. Makes the catch and sets up a 2nd and manageable here. 2nd and 1 for Carleton.
2 catches for 16 yards for Tristan Reddy. He's been targeted twice more in this one. Handoff to Alex Gale, up to the 50. Gain of 3 yards, and that's a 1st down for the Carleton Ravens.
Good short little run there, moves the chains here for Carleton. As once again they go to Gale, trying to get that package in.
1st and 10 from the Laurier 50 for the Carleton Ravens. Under 2.5 minutes to go in half number one. Tristan Lefebvre in at quarterback, Alex Gale at running back. Lefebvre is 9 of 12 for 82 yards in this one. Can't shovel it underneath, but he steps away from Duncan Noddy, and he'll dive down after a gain of 2. So that'll bring up 2nd and 8 for the Carleton Ravens.
Well, nice work by Lefebvre to make something out of nothing, as that could have been a loss. Instead, it's a short little gain for the Carleton Ravens, as gain of 2, second and 8 coming up here for the Ravens.
Trying to set up that shovel pass underneath to Hunter Brown, the third year from Brampton, who had 2 receptions for 59 yards last year, as Lefebvre was rolling to his right. Lefebvre on the draw play. Alex Gale has some space. Ethan Gregorczyk makes the tackle for the Hawks, short of the line to gain. A gain of 6 yards. And that's going to be a 3rd and 3 for the Carleton Ravens. And that 18-year-old freshman linebacker, Ethan Gregorczyk, puts his name into the game for the first time today.
Yeah, Gregorczyk had a good game in his debut last week in Kingston against Queens. And that's a big tackle there to make a 3rd and 3, and the Ravens are going to go for it.
3rd and 3 from the Laurier 43. They need the 40. Play action over the middle. Ferdinand makes the catch. A gain of 8 yards, and that's a first down for Carleton at the Laurier 35.
Great play action there from Lefebvre, and then able to hit Ferdinand, who's been the go-to guy. And really, the offense has run through Ferdinand so far in his ability, whether it's coming out of the backfield or downfield.
Lined up in the slot to the boundary here on 1st and 10 as they reset and look to the sideline. Ravens 1st and 10 from the Golden Hawks 35. Lefebvre quickly gets this one out. Ferdinand on the block, and that'll be a gain of 5 for the Carleton Ravens. Ewan McDonald making the catch for Carleton.
This is a nice drive here for Carleton as we're approaching under a minute to go here in the first half. And this would be huge for the Ravens if they can punch this in to level us up at 10.
2nd and 5 from the Laurier 30. Right hash for the Ravens. Lefebvre fires this one out, and that one is caught, and that's going to be a first down for Carleton. Ben Huckabone making the catch for the Ravens down to the Laurier 20-yard line, so a gain of 10. And Carleton keeps moving the sticks as we're under a minute to go. So not only are they moving the ball down the field methodically, they are also killing the time off the clock and not allowing Laurier much time to respond if they can get in the end zone.
Yeah, it's very smart how they're moving the football, taking their time and eating up that clock. And Huckabone made a big play on special teams, gets in the offense there with that catch.
Lefebvre in shotgun, 1st and 10. Gale takes the handoff, and Chisenham and Sedum swallows him up just 2 yards past the line of scrimmage. 2nd and 8 coming up for the Ravens.
Yeah, good work there by Insedum, able to wrap his big frame around Gale and drive him backwards so he can only pick up 2 yards.
Empty set for Lefebvre on 2nd and 8. Quickly gets it off to Ferdinand. Jahari Hastings spins Ferdinand down to the turf, down at the Laurier 11-yard line. Make it the 12, and that's a first down for the Carleton Ravens. I'm sorry, they marked him down at the 7.
So at the 7, but still a first down, and a great drive continues here for the Ravens.
1st and goal to the corner of the end zone. Incomplete. Tristan Lefebvre was trying to find the end zone for Tristan Reddy.
And that one's just out of the reach there of Reddy as he was marked up by the Golden Hawks. One-on-one there with Duncan Noddy. Now had a step on Noddy, did Reddy, just couldn't drop that one in the bucket, was Lefebvre.
Duncan Noddy, the 2-time academic All-Canadian, playing that Sam linebacker spot for the Golden Hawks with Gregorczyk and Onyenanum in the box. 2nd and goal from the Laurier 7. Lefebvre with Brubaker in his face, and he'll throw it incomplete as he gets brought down by Luke Brubaker and Ethan Gregorczyk. And that's going to bring up 3rd and goal and what would be a 14-yard field goal try for Forcier.
That seemed like there was a big miscommunication there from the Ravens offense as Lefebvre, he was scrambling for his life and just had to get that one away. Instead of maybe putting 6 on the board, they'll try to put another 3 up.
Forcier, 14-yard field goal attempt here for the Ravens. That's where he hit his first one from. Left hash. And that one is good, so the Carleton Ravens can't put it in the end zone, but they do put 3 points on the board, and they're down 10-6 with 22 seconds to go in the first half against the Laurier Golden Hawks.
Yeah, and really, it was a good drive for Carleton, and a drive that they almost didn't even end up starting with the possession. They fumbled on the kick return, but they were able to move the ball nicely, Lefebvre, but unfortunately, they can't finish drives. They couldn't finish that drive off, much how Laurier's had their issues with that, and instead they have to rely on Forcier to kick his second field goal of the day. And there's 22 seconds left, so we'll see what the Golden Hawks do and try to get as many yards as they can here.
On their own 35, screen to Quentin Scott, being chased down by Onyeka. Scott stays up, gain of 11 before being brought down by the pile. A flock of Ravens making the tackle. That's a first down for the Hawks with 15 seconds to go in the first half.
Well, that's where Scott's also so deadly, coming out of the backfield as a receiver. Nice screen play by Laurier, and they'll take a timeout.
Golden Hawks take a timeout. We talked about the field goals from Forcier. Good that they're 14-yard chip shots and they're pretty makeable, but at the same time that means that your drives are stalling out at the 7-yard line for the Ravens, so getting all the way down the field but not being able to put majors up in the board. They've been in this game step for step with the 6th ranked team in the country. They have to feel confident about how they're playing, just not necessarily reflecting on the scoreboard, and we saw that from Laurier last week against the Queens Gales. They had real good drives at the beginning of the game, couldn't put the points on the board, and then they got into that tight shootout, which resulted in an 11-10 win.
Well, the way this offense has been, or what this offense is on paper for Laurier, you know that they should find ways to put a little more points than they have.
Quentin Scott on the draw, and Onyeka's having none of it. Ife Onyeka making the tackle in the backfield for the Carleton Ravens. A loss of 5, and that'll bring up 2nd and 15 here for the Golden Hawks.
Well, Onyeka makes another big play, able to get a good job to penetrate that and just wrapped up Scott, really nowhere to go. Beats his man once again, does Onyeka. And it's going to be 2nd and 15 here, and Laurier, they'll just call the half here.
Laurier winds out the clock. Taylor Elgersma takes a knee, and that takes us to halftime. The Laurier Golden Hawks with a 10-6 lead against the Carleton Ravens, playing in their first game of the season. Not getting it done in the end zone offensively, but they're going toe-to-toe with a top 10 ranked team in the country, Jason.
Yeah, you know what? And so far, small sample size, 1 game and a half of the second game done for Laurier. They can be in these tight games here. That is a strong suit and an asset there, but this offense, as I was alluding to, they know they got to find a way to
with a 4-point lead heading into the half. We'll step aside for your halftime, brought to you by Waterloo Brewing.
Where exceptional student athletes are born, where records are broken, where great plays are made, where school colors ignite passion, where champions prevail, where tradition is celebrated. Ontario University Athletics.
Laurier has amazing research opportunities. I was able to execute a project of my own and then publish it in a medical journal. So now when I applied for my master's, I was able to apply with a publication already in my tool belt.
This is what girls do. 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 This is what girls do.
It's go time, Golden Hawks.
Realtor Mike and T. Milvick is your official real estate partner of Wilfrid Laurier Athletics and Recreation. Contact us for all your real estate needs.
Growing up, my idea was to play pro soccer. But I had yet to find my true calling. Until I found it here at RBC Training Ground. They saw my potential and pushed me beyond my limits. RBC Training Ground finds and funds young Canadian athletes with Olympic potential. That was their idea, and my time has come.
I chose Laurier because we're going to be getting real-life hands-on experience. The co-op program is really helpful because it kind of gets you in a real-world situation before you graduate. It definitely gives me a head start in the business world.
The Laurier community is like no other. Everyone is there to help each other.
What I love most about Laurier is definitely the people.
There's always smiling faces and waves to be shared. You feel like you have a place. You feel like you matter.
It's a warm feeling in your heart.
Let's go.
Realtor Mike and T. Milvick is your official real estate partner of Wilfrid Laurier Athletics and Recreation. Contact us for all your real estate needs.
What makes Laurier awesome is all the stuff you can do here, all the different events. You can get involved in so many different ways. There's so many different clubs on campus that you can get involved in, no matter what your interests are. It's great to be a Laurier Golden Hawk.
Welcome to the inaugural and the first of many diversity in sports conference. Congratulations to everybody for making this all become a reality.
I would highly recommend that people within the sport landscape in Canada definitely come out to this conference next year. There's so much good information that can be absorbed from here, and I think we can all be part of the change within Canada if we all actively engage in conversations like this.
Coming to the Diversity in Sports Conference was one of the best experiences I ever had after coming to Canada. The people I was able to meet, the people I was able to network with, the friends I made, and the learnings I gained were tremendous.
Sign up right now. Follow them on whatever social media platform they are. Email the OUA, contact them, contact whoever you need to contact, find out when they're getting ticket sales again, and get here. This is a must-do every single year. Everyone needs to be here. We need to pack this place and get at it again in 2024.
We don't have to work alone. We can do this together, and it shows by the numbers that are here that we want to improve and we want to make a better future for all Canadians. Doesn't matter where they're from, but that's the goal that we have. So thank you so much for coming to the inaugural conference, and dare I say, see you next year.
1, 2, 3.
Diversity in sports.
Nothing is more powerful than an idea whose time has come. An idea like turning a soccer player into a cyclist, or a goalie into a rower, or a kid who could run into one who can jump, throw, hurdle, vault, and run. RBC Training Ground finds and funds young Canadian athletes with Olympic potential. And their time has come.
Laurier has a wide range of programs as well as minors and options for students. I feel career ready because all the theories I'm learning in the classroom have really been taught to me and applied to real world situations.
Realtor Mike is your touchdown connection for all your real estate needs. It's your wireless.
Realtor Mike and T. Milvick is your official real estate partner of Wilfrid Laurier Athletics and Recreation. Contact us for all your real estate needs.
Laurier sets students for success and a successful future.
Co-op, a field placement, extra education.
Not something that you just read in a textbook. You actually get to apply that in a lab setting, and that's really helpful for actually building your knowledge. We were able to network with people that worked in the industry.
I'm already gaining the experience I need to start working right away as I get out of university.
Welcome back inside University Stadium. The Laurier Golden Hawks, ranked number 6 in the country, taking on the Carleton Ravens. And Laurier with a 10-6 lead through the opening half of the game. Jason, both teams' offenses not going the way they wanted to in the first half, but about 30 minutes to try and figure it out here. And Carleton, in their first game of the season after a week 1 bye, has a chance to pick up win number 1 on the season. The Laurier Golden Hawks with a chance to pick up win number 2 and start 2-0.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a very tight offensive game. When you look at the total yards of offense on 31 plays, Carleton 129 yards, Laurier 29 plays, 172 yards. But really, both teams have gone blow for blow. Laurier punched it in on get their first touchdown of the season from Taylor Elgersma. Carleton came back, marched it down the field. They couldn't punch it in the end zone, but they picked up points with the second field goal for Forcia.
Golden Hawks deferred in the first half on the coin toss. They elect to receive in the second half, so Carleton will have the win in the fourth quarter. We saw last week, Queens won the coin toss. They deferred to the second half, and then they elected to kick the ball so that they had the choice of end in the second half so they could have the win in the fourth quarter. It ultimately didn't work out for the Queens Gales as they lost on a missed field goal attempt that was returned out of the end zone by Ethan Bayfield, who was the Laurier Special Teams Player of the Week. Something we haven't really talked about in this one so far. The Carleton Ravens, week 1 bye. You have 8 games in a row to finish your season.
Yeah.
So you have the start of a daunting season ahead of you already with the bye at the end of your training camp. And this one is away, and the Golden Hawks will return it from their own 10-yard line, and they get out across the 30. Kojo Kadua on the return, making his introduction to Golden Hawks fans here at University Stadium. And Taylor Elgersma trots out onto the field for the second half after going 11 of 14 for 124 yards and no touchdowns through the air, but one on the ground in half number 1. He also got sacked twice in the first half.
Yeah, that's the one thing I think as well. The offensive line, they need to find a little bit better. They've done well, but you don't want to give up those sacks where your defense hasn't been able to find the pressure there.
Quentin Scott gets the handoff to start half number 2, and he drives up to the 40-yard line. So that's a gain of 8 yards and brings up 2nd and 2 here for the Golden Hawks.
I love that run there from Quentin Scott. Got the ball and ran with a purpose, had the vision of where he wanted to go, and if he could make a man miss, it would have been a bigger gain, but nice tackle to make it a 2nd and manageable here for Laurier.
Gain of 7, 2nd and 30 for the Golden Hawks. Scott stays in the backfield. 3 receivers to the right of Taylor Elgersma. Quentin Scott gets wrapped up at the line of scrimmage. He had nowhere to go. Nice defensive play by Nathan Clark. He's been flying across the field for the Carleton Ravens this afternoon.
Yeah, Nathan Clark, the third-year engineering major from Kingsley, New Brunswick, makes another big play, and you can see why the Ravens really rely on him and being one of their defensive leaders as Scott tried to stop and start, slipped up there on his own feet, slowed down his progress, and it was wrapped up.
Dawson Hodge to boot this one away. He had a good first half kicking the football, and Ferdinand will return this one. Cuts up the middle before he gets met by Matt Caruso at the 38-yard line. Matt Caruso had the game-winning Rouge tackle on the Dawson Hodge missed field goal last week against the Queens Gales. And honestly, when I was down on the field before today's game, the Laurier Golden Hawks coaching staff talking to a few of them about what they expect from their players in this football game, almost every single coach talked about how important of a game Matt Caruso played, not necessarily getting the defensive snaps, but his play on special teams, his demeanor on the sidelines, and just being a natural leader for this Laurier team.
And that's how you eventually get those defensive reps. You be strong, positive, and a big impact player on special teams. It'll lead you to get those defensive reps as your time progresses here at Laurier.
He's a 4th year from London. As Ferguson takes the handoff on first down, gains a yard, 2nd and 9 for the Carleton Ravens.
Nice job to plug up the hole by that Laurier defensive line, who they've had their moments. They still haven't been able to get a sack, but they did cause a fumble that was recovered by Carleton, and really they've made it a little bit difficult for the Ravens to find some success rushing the football.
Golden Hawks looking to pin their ears back. Omanua, Chisenham, and Sedum, Omari Hastings, and Luke Brubaker, the defensive line with Gregorczyk and Onyenanum. This one thrown down the field for Tristan Reddy. Can't make the catch, and that's going to be pass interference against Jahari Hastings. They got into a hand battle on the near sideline at the Laurier 40. That'll be a 15-yard penalty and put Carleton at midfield.
That was a tough one. There was that battle. They were fighting for the position there, but officials felt that just a little too much hand grabbing there from Hastings impeded the process for Reddy to make that catch. So it's another penalty against the Golden Hawks, and it's a big one, a 15-yard penalty here for that goes against Laurier.
Jahari Hastings had 1.5 total tackles last week. He had 32.5 tackles last season for Simon Fraser, including 11 tackles against Texas A&M Kingsville. Of course, the program shut down and all the talk about the quick shutdown for that program, leaving players without a place to play. Jahari Hastings transfers to play with his brother Omari Hastings at Laurier. Keyshawn Dorsey, the backup quarterback for the Laurier Golden Hawks, comes in and wins that number 2 job behind Taylor Elgersma as well. He's a transfer from Simon Fraser. As Josh Ferguson gets up to the 50, a gain of 5, give him 6. That brings up 2nd and 4.
Nice run there for Ferguson, his best of the day so far for the Carleton Ravens. Up until that, had 5 carries for 14 yards, averaging 2.8 yards a carry. That's just a little bit better than that right now. 2nd and 4 now here for the Ravens. And I think for Carleton to have some success in the second half, they got to get Ferguson going.
2nd and manageable here for the Ravens. 2nd and 4 from the Laurier 50. In the middle of the field, Tristan Lefebvre, empty set, 6 receivers out in the rush. As that pass is caught inside the Laurier 10 down to the 5. Frederick Hashi moves the ball down the field for the Ravens, and they'll have 1st and goal from the Laurier 5.
Great job by the Ravens offensive line to give Lefebvre all the time in the world to set up in the pocket and unload an absolute dime out there for Hashi. Caught it in stride. Big play for the Ravens here to start the second half. 1st and goal coming up from the 5.
Matt Morin in at running back now for the Carleton Ravens. 1st and goal from the Laurier 5. Ferdinand in motion. He takes the catch. Knocked out by Jahari Hastings. Can the Golden Hawks jump on it? They do! Laurier forces the turnover. Kasim Ferdinand made the catch and fumbled it. Jahari Hastings knocked it out, and Duncan Noddy comes away with it.
Huge play there by the Golden Hawks. Ravens have put the ball twice on the carpet in that first half, but they were able to recover. This one bites them in the rear at the worst time. Carleton was looking to put some points on the board. More importantly, their first touchdown of the season. Ferdinand can't hold on. He fumbles it. Noddy recovers it, and Laurier with their first big turnover of the football game.
Kasim Ferdinand, sure-handed receiver for the Ravens, made the catch and then put it on the turf. Elgersma fires that one incomplete, intended for Jace Atkinson.
Yeah, Elgersma, he wasn't ready to release that ball. He felt the pressure coming on from Onyeka as he was trying to hit his man there, and Jace Atkinson had to release it a little bit early. Instead, luckily throws an incompletion. 2nd and 10 coming up.
Golden Hawks offensive lineman down on the turf. Spencer Walsh again, the 2nd year from Brantford, 6'5", 280-pound sociology major. And he gets up quickly as the training staff gets onto the field.
You don't like to see that. You know, he's obviously battling something right now, and plus, I don't think the heat helps anything of the sort with his injury, but he'll get once again looked at by the Golden Hawk training staff and hopefully can get back in there. He did once again pop up under his own power, which is always a good sign.
2nd and 10 for the Hawks from their own 14. Jahari Hastings making that impact play that we've been expecting defensively for the Golden Hawks, knocking out that fumble as Carleton was knocking on the door. Elgersma, Ojitalayo can't make the catch, hit him in the chest and falls down to the turf. He was just short of the line to gain, but couldn't make the catch, and that'll bring up 3rd and 10, and Dawson Hodge will have to punt this one away. He has the wind at his back. He has unleashed a 72-yard bomb in this game. It went 62 yards in the air with the wind at his back earlier, but do the Golden Hawks want to take a knee and concede the 2 points?
Yeah, we'll keep our eyes on that. Carleton did when they were pinned back in their own end. We'll see if the Golden Hawks follow suit.
Dawson Hodge boots it away. High, spiraling punt. Ferdinand will return it from his own 54. Ferdinand goes over the top and then gets met and goes down to the turf by Matt Caruso inside the Laurier 45. A nice punt by Dawson Hodge, but a good return by Kasim Ferdinand. And the Carleton Ravens back out onto the field after that fumble on their last drive.
And you know, Ferdinand, he wanted to make a statement taking that punt after giving up the fumble that the Golden Hawks recovered. But you know what? The Ravens defense bailed out the offense. They're forced a quick 2-and-out, and it's a nice field here for the Ravens.
Kasim Ferdinand, 6 catches, 51 yards. That one fumble as long as 25. Hashi also has 51 yards through the air. Tristan Reddy makes the catch, and he gets chopped down by Chris Haggart after a gain of, give him 5 yards. 2nd and 5 coming up for the Carleton Ravens on Tristan Reddy's 3rd catch of the game for 21 yards.
Yeah, now the Ravens are really trying to spread that ball out. They're really trying to get Reddy back into this offense. They had the deep ball moments on their last play there to Hashi, and as well Ferdinand, as we talked about, the leading receiver for the Ravens. So 2nd and manageable now.
2nd and 4 on the gain of 6 for the Ravens. They reset with 4 receivers to the left of Lefebvre. Lefebvre to Ferdinand, steps away from Gorsick, but Duncan Noddy right there to make the tackle, and that looks like it'll be a yard short of the line to gain, and it is going to be 3rd down for the Carleton Ravens.
Nice tackle there by Noddy. Once again, he was the one that recovered the fumble on that last defensive series and makes a good tackle to force a 3rd and 1. And the Ravens will go for it here. They'll bring their big package out.
Yeah, the Carleton Ravens bringing in Bradley Peters, 6'2", 260-pound backup center from Fredericton, New Brunswick, into the package. Ronaldus under center, the backup quarterback for the Ravens. Was their short yardage quarterback a season ago. And he gets enough for a 1st down for the Carleton Ravens, so they'll stay on the field. Tristan Ronaldus, last series, 12 carries for 46 yards and 3 touchdowns. He did have some elbow injury issues, and so he couldn't throw the ball, so teams knew when he came into the game that he was more than likely going to run, but those have been resolved. He's been rehabbing it all year. He elected to forego surgery, and now he's back staying in the game offensively for the Carleton Ravens, so he is a threat to run it and throw it. He'll keep it himself and stay on the ground. Ronaldus breaks a tackle, but then gets met by a flock of Hawks, led by Chisenham and Sedum. Short gain for the Carleton Ravens, and that'll bring up 2nd and long.
But that play, that short gain there was set up by some good work by Matt Caruso coming off the edge. We talked about what he can do special teams-wise for Laurier. When he gets those opportunities on the defensive line, he makes a statement there, slowed the progress down there for Ronaldus, and then Sidham makes the tackle.
Tristan Ronaldus throwing last season, 1 of 1 for 15 yards. As he goes empty set here, drops back over the middle. That falls incomplete, intended for Alex Gale, 3rd and long, and the field goal unit will have to come out for the Carleton Ravens.
I wonder if that ball was tipped just at the line, as that ball did just die before it got to the Carleton receiver. Nonetheless, it's going to be 3rd and 8, and the field goal unit is out on the field here for Carleton. And Carleton, special teams-wise today, they have been 2 for 2 for field goals. But this is the longest field goal of the afternoon, a 39-yarder for Forcia.
Forcier from 39 on the left hash. Puts it up, and that is good. The Carleton Ravens pull within 1 on Forcier's 3rd field goal of the game. He has 2 from 14 yards, 1 from 39. And Carleton within striking distance now of the Golden Hawks.
1-point lead here for Laurier. They're up 10-9 after that 39-yard field goal there from Forcia. And that one with the wind coming towards him, more of an impressive kick. Those first 2, as you mentioned, Jack, just from 14, basically chip shots. But this is the first one he really had to put some effort in. He got the leg on it and split the uprights.
2 chip shots from 14 yards with the wind at his back. On the far end of the field, that one into the wind is Taylor Elgersma on 1st down. Jackson Stebbings makes the catch right at the line to gain, and they give him a 1st down. He is still down on the turf as he got crunched in between 2 Carleton defenders.
Yeah, he's grabbing at his midsection right there around the rib. He did get crunched both high and in that midsection area, so hopefully it's nothing too serious as the training staff for Laurier comes back out on the field. As Stebbings, that was his 3rd catch of the afternoon, which gives him the lead in yards received at just 32.
Xavier Malone, the linebacker for the Carleton Ravens, one of the hitters on the play, 6 foot 225, 3rd year out of Dieppe, New Brunswick. Jackson Stebbings still down on the field. Also to note, importantly for the Golden Hawks, that's their holder as well for field goal. Just had the wind knocked out of him.
I was just going to say, I think he just got the wind knocked out of him, which is a best case scenario in that situation. He'll get a quick couple breaths and hopefully be back in there soon.
Has to be out for 3 plays. Gain of 10, 1st and 10 for the Golden Hawks from their own 45. Play action to Quinton Scott. Elgersma. Ethan Jordan makes the catch. He turns it upfield. Gain of 9, 2nd and 1. Sorry, they'll give him 7 as he stepped out of bounds at the Laurier 52. 2nd and 3 coming up for the Hawks.
Well, they go back to Jordan, and they try to showcase Jordan's speed as he tried to turn the corner. Just couldn't quite turn it upfield. Goes out of bounds, and it's going to be a 2nd and 3 coming up here for Laurier on Jordan's 5th catch of the afternoon.
Elgersma in shotgun, play action again. He goes to the air, back to Jordan again, and he dives down at the Carleton 49, and a flag on the play as Jordan's shoulder pad pops out of his left arm. So we'll see what the call is here. And it is against the Carleton Ravens. Schneider, Cavier, Philippe. The unnecessary roughness, face mask penalty. And the Laurier Golden Hawks are down at the Carleton 36-yard line.
Just the 3rd penalty for the Ravens today. They played a disciplined game, but that one could be costly.
1st and 10 from the right hash. Elgersma drops straight back to pass. Quinton Scott gets met immediately. He'll lose 2, maybe 3 yards and bring up a 2nd and long for Laurier.
Good work by the Ravens defense. They got the pressure up in the face of Elgersma, and anyone downfield that Elgersma was looking for, they were covered. So Elgersma had to dump it off there to his tailback and really nowhere to go for the likes there of Scott. Loss of 3, actually.
2nd and 13 for the Hawks from their own 39 right hash. Elgersma in shotgun. Elgersma goes to the air. Ojatalayo, he makes the catch that time down at the 21-yard line. Makes up for the last one, and the Golden Hawks move the sticks.
And Ojatalayo, looks like they're trying to use him more as the deep threat this season. Laurier, so far, we've seen them dink and dunk with their go-to guys, with Ethan Jordan and Raiden Thorne, but there's Ojatalayo, as we talked about. We expect him to have a breakout year, big size and great hands.
Build of him reminds me of Brenton Hall. 6'3", 200 pounds, a big, heavy receiver, but super athletic in open space. Over the middle, Raiden Thorne as a flag flies at the end of the play. That'll be a gain of 7 yards, 2nd and 3 coming up, but holding against the Hawks will push them back to 1st and 20.
Well, the Ravens defensive line, they're really bringing the full house pressure against Elgersma and this Laurier offense, and right now, penalty, the holding call that time goes against number 54, Tyler Potvin. So it'll push the Golden Hawks back, but that pressure's been a little too hot to handle at times for this Golden Hawk offense.
Very appreciative of the OUA officials changing their standards and giving us numbers on penalties now. Usually in the past they haven't, but now they will as the Golden Hawks move again. 1st and 25. So this Golden Hawks offense driving down the field, trying to get into field goal range, trying to put another major on the board, up by just 1 with 5.5 to go in the 3rd quarter. But putting themselves back farther and farther now. Now 1st and 25 from their opponent's 37-yard line. Line to gain is the Carleton 12.
And this is what we saw last year from the Golden Hawks early. When they had drives going, they'd shoot themselves in the foot with penalties, and that's kind of coming back to haunt them right now.
Jackson Stebbings back in the game. He's giving a block for Raiden Thorne, who makes the catch. And once again, it's Clark making an open field tackle from the defensive line spot. The motor to get from the line of scrimmage to make that tackle almost at the sideline against Raiden Thorne on the bubble screen.
Yeah, that's just one heck of an athlete there, able to peel off the D-line to track down where the football is and really track down a speedy receiver in Raiden Thorne to make the tackle. Just a gain of 5 for Laurier.
Give him 3.5 tackles on the game. He had 8.5 a season ago. Onyeka off the edge as Elgersma to the end zone, and it falls incomplete. Agamudu in coverage for the Carleton Ravens as Atkinson was the intended receiver. And Laurier has a 3rd and 20 now coming up, and they'll bring on Dawson Hodge for a 39-yard field goal attempt of his own.
Yeah, there was Elgersma trying to fit that one into a tight window and didn't really have the coverage advantage there. Good coverage by the Ravens as LJ Agamudu made a great play. Should have had an interception, but here comes Hodge.
39-yard field goal left hash. Dawson Hodge puts it up. And the 2022 second team All-Canadian Dawson Hodge is good from 39 and restores the 4-point lead for the Golden Hawks. Now 4 of 8 on the season. He's 1 of 2 in today's contest.
Yeah, Hodge, he's been battling something right now, maybe a crisis of confidence a little bit, but knocks that one through when Laurier needs it. But that's a drive that really should have ended up with 6 instead of the 3.
Laurier shooting themselves in the foot. Penalties as they got close down to the 22-yard line. They pushed themselves back, 1st and 20, and then 1st and 25, and they can't find their footing after that. But again, the inability to get the ball into the end zone is a little bit of a cause for concern as we're late in the 3rd quarter here for the Laurier Golden Hawks. You don't want to create habits that are going to stick around over an 8-game season. At some point, your team's going to have to consistently put the ball in the end zone against quality opponents.
And it's been the thing during this Taylor Elgersma era of the offense where it's just the unfortunate situation of they can move the football, they can push some defenses, but they can't capitalize with touchdowns. And you need touchdowns to win with how this schedule does play out for Laurier. You want to find ways to put points on the board, 6 points instead of having to rely on Hodge all the time. And you got to find ways to move the football and get it into the end zone because 2 weeks we've seen this continue. And as you said, Jack, you don't want to make it a habit as you hit the road next week to play Guelph.
Guelph Griffins look improved. A big 33-10 win over the University of Toronto Varsity Blues, who everybody was expecting big things from Kinsale Phillip coming into season number 2. And the Guelph Griffins able to get it done in week number 1. Can they get it done again? This time they're on the road against a Windsor team that looked real good against the McMaster Marauders last week. Flag on the play, 1st and 10 for the Ravens from their own 35-yard line. The pass is caught, and that's going to be a 1st down on the gain of 12 for the Ravens, but there is a flag on the play, so we'll await the call from Kevin Mickelbro. It was Ewan McDonald on the catch for Carleton. Flag was against the Hawks. And a gain of 12 will give the Ravens a 1st down from their own 47.
And anything I know about Coach Falls, he hates penalties like that, so that's got to be driving him up the wall right now.
Over the middle, Ethan Gregorczyk with a big hit on the gain of 3. Kasim Ferdinand on the catch, and the 18-year-old Gregorczyk with a massive tackle on the veteran OUA All-Star Ferdinand.
Well, that was sick from Gregorczyk. Good open field tackle against a player of the caliber that Ferdinand brings to the table. No fear from the first-year linebacker.
True freshman linebacker starting from game number 1. Now Ferdinand makes another catch, Gregorczyk on the tackle, but that gain is for 11 yards and another 1st down for the Carleton Ravens. Just back to your point about Michael Folds not liking penalties. I know.
Yeah.
I was on those Sunday runs when we had to run after taking 120 yards against the Windsor Lancers. Those are not fun, 110-yard sprints on Sunday morning. 1st and 10 for the Carleton Ravens from the Laurier 49. 3 receivers to Lefebvre's right. And Ferguson gets taken down in the backfield. Chisenham Insetum having himself a game from the defensive tackle spot.
Yeah, what a game here for Insedum, a guy that's really big high expectations for him. Just his second tackle, but that's a big one. Just no gain there for the Ravens, but all the hype and all the praise that Insedum got going into his rookie campaign last year, you can see why. Big player on the defensive line for the purple and gold.
Second and long for the Ravens from the Laurier 50. Second and 10. Ewan McDonald makes the catch, and he gets dropped. Chris Haggart lowers the boom. Tristan Miller in coverage as well. Gain of 6. That'll bring up 3rd and 4 into the wind. This would be a 51-yard field goal, so the Ravens are going to have to punt this one away.
I gotta say, what a hit there by Haggart. That's a guy that loves to throw the body around and lay some good impact here as it's 3rd and 5, and the Ravens no punt.
Tristan Miller with his 4th tackle of the game. Starting for Ayo Ajayi, who is not playing for the Golden Hawks, is Titan Godin. Returns this one up to the 12-yard line, and the Golden Hawks offense will take over with 2 minutes and 10 seconds left in the 3rd quarter, up 13-9 against the Carleton Ravens. So Carleton moved the ball efficiently up to the Laurier 50, and then the Laurier defense, led by Chizenem and Sedum, getting the stop. Able to force a punt for Carleton, but a long field ahead of Taylor Elgersma, 98 yards away from Pater.
Well, this will be a good test here for what this offense can do for Laurier. Pin back in their own end, starting at their own 12. How can they move the football?
Elgersma, play action. Ethan Jordan makes the catch. He's up to the 18-yard line. Give him the 19, a gain of 7, 2nd and 3.
Excellent play action there. The Ravens defense, they bit hard. They all swarmed in on Scott. Jordan makes the catch. Move the sticks. 1st down here for Laurier.
Standalone game here in the OUA this afternoon. Only game to start at 1 o'clock. Waterloo across the street kicks off at 6 against the York Lions. Elgersma over the middle. Sebastian Parasolidas makes the catch and drives forward across the 25, and picks up a 1st down for the Golden Hawks.
Work there by Parasolidas. Not only make the catch in transition, but taking the hit, showing off some good balance to stay on his feet and pick up that extra yardage so the Golden Hawks can get this 1st down.
Had a catch for 7 yards last week against the Queens Gales. He gets his 1st catch of the game here today. And he'll stay in at the slot back with Quentin Scott, and Parasolidas motions in to the formation. Quentin Scott takes the handoff. Nowhere to go. A short gain, 2nd and long for the Hawks coming up.
Yeah, a nice little run up the gut there, but swallowed up quickly was Scott, as they're just looking for that opportunity for him to find that hole up the middle. But the Ravens defensive line right now led by Onyeka and Clark, really making it difficult for Scott and this Laurier run game to get going.
Taylor Elgersma in shotgun, 2nd and 7. Quentin Scott's gain of 3 on 1st down. Elgersma looks right, fires. Rain Thorne can't make the catch. In and out of the hands of the sure-handed receiver for the Golden Hawks. 3rd and 7, and Dawson Hodge will have to punt this one away. One more punt with the wind behind his back for the 2022 USports All-Canadian.
And that's when Thorne wants to have back. Hit him right in the hands, but bounced off them, hits the turf. And we've seen that quite a bit where a lot of the big receivers, Thorne, Jordan, Ojelateo, can't handle the big throws.
High spiraling punt to the Carleton 23-yard line. 9th punt of the game for Dawson Hodge as Braum brings it up to the 39. Dawson Hodge with some booming punts here today, averaging 48.5 going into that one. I think that one will extend the average a little bit, as long as 72. That'll be his 5th one over 50 yards. The Laurier Golden Hawks lead 13-9 against the Carleton Ravens heading into the 4th quarter. You're watching Laurier Golden Hawk football on OUA TV and listening on Radio Laurier. Back for the fourth quarter, the Carleton Ravens with the ball, 1st and 10 from their own 39, trailing the number 6 Laurier Golden Hawks 13-9 in week number 2 of OUA football. Alex Gale swallowed up immediately by the Laurier defensive line. Abraham Odiasi making the tackle immediately. Give him a gain of 2, maybe 3 yards. So 2nd and long coming up for the Carleton Ravens.
Just getting the stats here after the end of the third quarter. Both teams running about the same amount of plays, 45 for Carleton, 44 for Laurier. But Laurier, 239 yards of total offense, 214 for Carleton. You can see why this game is so tight right now.
4 receivers to the right of Lefebvre. Gets pressure from Brubaker, and he'll go down. The Golden Hawks defensive line gets home. Abraham Odiasi, who needs teammates when you make both plays on 1st and 2nd down, and forces the Ravens to punt this one away.
Big play there by Odiasi. Lefebvre couldn't handle the snap. It hit the ground, had to scoop it up. Didn't give him enough time to set up, look down the field, and felt the pressure, and Odiasi, big sack right there.
Godon and Kadua back deep to return for the Laurier Golden Hawks. Titan Godon to return this one, bounces it outside, sidesteps a would-be tackler, gets up to the 40-yard line. A flag does fly. Laurier Golden Hawks will take over at their own 41, but we'll wait what the penalty is here from the officials. And it does look like it's going to be against the Laurier Golden Hawks, so a little bit longer of a field, but a good return once again by Titan Godon.
Yeah, Godon's trying to establish himself as a nice returner. Nearly broke one in the first half. We'll see what this penalty is, but a little undisciplined stuff going on there from the Golden Hawks, especially from Nico McCarthy.
$15-yard penalty against the Ravens for the face mask penalty, and a 10-yard hold against the Laurier Golden Hawks. So that goes up 5 yards from the spot of the foul. So the Laurier Golden Hawks will start from their own 39. The Laurier Golden Hawks next home game September 16th against the Waterloo Warriors. You can get your tickets at tickets.laurierathletics.com and use the promo code BATTLE. Quentin Scott on 1st down. Gain of 7, 2nd and 3.
Nice run there from Scott. Followed his blockers, exploded, but we do have a Golden Hawk injured on the field.
Another offensive lineman for the Laurier Golden Hawks. No, sorry, that's Darian Bassick-Hayden down on the field, holding his right foot. And again, no Tanner Nelms in the lineup for the Laurier Golden Hawks.
Yeah, the other running back listed on the depth, right, is Jeremiah Nyumbia.
The first year from Niagara Falls, the 5'7", 200-pound arts major from A.N. Meyer, who didn't dress last week, but because of Tanner Nelms getting injured, brought into the rotation this week. The Laurier Golden Hawks do dress 4 fullbacks on the roster: Sebastian Parasolitis, Nathan Brooks, Khalil Durman, and former offensive lineman Max Harris, who's lost a ton of weight. He looks phenomenal, 6'5", 235 pounds. But Darian Bassick-Hayden down on the turf at the Laurier 40, who's been a good second option for the Golden Hawks so far today, spelling off with Quentin Scott. Scott, 13 carries for 45 yards. Bassick-Hayden, 4 carries for 25 yards.
And just on those 4 carries, too, he's picking up about 6.5 yards a carry. And it's not good to see how gingerly he's really not putting any weight on his right ankle. So he is walking off under his own power. That is a positive, and hopefully it is nothing too serious, because he has, when been given the football, showed some real impressive signs for what he can do in the backfield going forward this season.
Well, the Laurier Golden Hawks, who have a relatively deep backfield. When you think about it, a lot of people refer to it as a 2-headed monster with Quentin Scott and Tanner Nelms. Michael Foles likes to refer to it as a 3-headed monster with Scott, Nelms, and Bassick-Hayden. Bassick-Hayden's who had some good showings here today, but he goes off with an injury. Quentin Scott in at running back, 2nd and 3 from the Hawks from their own 46-yard line right hash. Hand off to Scott. Follows Parasolitis. A nice block, and that's a first down for the Hawks on the gain of 4.
Was you were just alluding to, Jack, that Michael Falls, head coach for the Golden Hawks, he refers to the run game as a three-headed monster. It's going to have to be that monster right now. We don't know the status of Bassett Hayden, who just left the field with what appeared to be an ankle injury. It's going to have to be Quentin Scott. When he gets those carries, he's going to have to find a way to pick up some extra yards when he gets those touches.
1st and 10 from their own 50 for Taylor Elgersma and the Golden Hawk offense. They'll go to the ground again. Quentin Scott drives forward and gets 2 yards. 2nd and 8 for Laurier.
Another short game, and really the success that Scott's had running the football has been on the edges, where we know that's really what he does best, when he can turn the corner. But up the middle right now, Carleton's been able to shut it up really since that first quarter. Nowhere to really go.
Xavier Malone, Malik Yusuf, the linebackers for this Carleton Ravens defense, as well with Chris Toupin. 3 down linemen here for the Ravens on 2nd and long. 2nd and 8 for the Hawks from their own 52. Elgersma in shotgun. Blitz coming. Elgersma up the middle, and that falls incomplete. Jace Atkinson, the intended receiver. Pass breakup by Othman Brahm, the starting safety for the Carleton Ravens, the 3rd year from Ottawa, making the play, and Dawson Hodge will have to punt this one from his own 52.
Yeah, Elgersma just threw that one just behind his man right there, and luckily, Brahm nearly had an interception, which would have given the Ravens some good field. Instead, it's incomplete, and Hodge would come out to punt to try to flip the field.
Hodge boots this one away to his left. Down the hash mark and bounces on Ferdinand. Gets forced back inside, makes a step, and Matt Caruso there. And the Golden Hawks special teams unit makes the tackle at their own 38. So that'll bring out Tristan Lefebvre and this Carleton offense once again. Down by 4 against the Laurier Golden Hawks in week number 2 with 11:49. And that time starting to become the enemy here as it starts to tick away, and it moves a little bit quicker than you think when your team is up with their back against the wall.
We're at the point, which offense is going to find a way to have that breakthrough drive? Right now, both Carleton and Laurier struggling here in the 4th. Will this be the moment for the Ravens?
Tristan Lefebvre drops back to pass. 1st and 10 down the sideline for McDonald. Malik Cote-Azor with the knockdown. Jahari Hastings can't get there in time. But Malik Cote with a nice pass breakup there for the Hawks, as Ewan McDonald was the intended receiver. 2nd and 10 for the Carleton Ravens.
That's great coverage there by Malik Cote. Step for step with Ewan McDonald, and gets his hand up there, pops it up, and if having a step would have been an extra step there with Hastings, he could have had an interception. Instead, just a little in front of him, incomplete 2nd and 10.
Almost like a volleyball player. Cote,
nice set.
He understood that the next closest player was Jahari Hastings, trying to get it up there for the interception. That's going to be a first down. Tristan Reddy makes the catch up at his own 53-yard line. Nico McCarthy making the tackle. And that's going to be a first down for the Ravens.
The work there by Reddy, gets right on the slant route, makes the completion, takes the contact, but brought the ball into his body so it wouldn't be jarred at all. First down for Carleton.
Handoff up the middle to Ferguson. He'll drive forward across the 55. That extra push gave him 4 yards. 2nd and 6 here for the Ravens on what looked like it was only going to be a gain of 1, maybe 2.
Well, you love those extra push, getting those big guys bailing you out a little bit, turning those legs. Good work there, done by Ferguson.
Handoff to Ferdinand. Up the middle, picks up the first down at the Laurier 45. Kasim Ferdinand. Josh Ferguson. Brendan Omanua slow to get off the turf.
Yeah, Omanua a little shaken up. Brubaker's going, Brandon Omanua, he's in some discomfort. He goes down to a knee wisely.
Carleton has a 1st and 10 from the Laurier 45. Brendan Omanua, big piece of the defensive line for the Hawks. 20.5 tackles, 3 sacks last year for Laurier in 9 games played. He had 2 total tackles and a sack last week against the Queens Gales. And even if he stays in the game, he does have to leave for at least 3 plays. But we have seen Abraham Odiasi make some plays defensively here for the Golden Hawks. So that depth at defensive tackle is really going to be staring the Hawks in the face for the rest of this game with just under 10 minutes to go. Ivan Zhu, who was the Week 1 Scout Team Defensive Player of the Week for the Hawks, didn't dress against the Gales last week on the road, in the lineup this week for Laurier. He might have to see some game action here if Omanua can't come back into this one, but he looks to be walking off the field under his own power a little bit gingerly, but maybe trying to catch his breath a little bit quicker. Has to be out for at least 3 plays.
And we'll see who's going to step up on that defensive line. We've talked big game so far for Chisenham and Sedum. Is it going to be someone like an Amari Hastings? Matt Caruso, we talked about.
As Griffiths makes the tackle for the Hawks. Make it 2nd and 1 for Carleton on the gain of 9 from Gale.
Good run there from Gale. Nice little stutter step. Saw that opening off on the left side and plunged towards it. Just came up a yard shy of the first down.
They'll go to Gale again. Gets met immediately. And we'll see where he gets spotted. And it's right at the 35, so they give him the first down. On Yenanum making the tackle for the Golden Hawks. He and Gregorczyk both got in the backfield, but Gale was able to drop that shoulder and use the 220 pounds he has to drive on Yenanum back.
You could hear the contact up here from Onyenanum and Gale, but Gale won out, just needed that 1 yard and gets it.
For those wondering, I did speak to Ify before this one. He made sure to pull me aside to make sure we got his name correct in his 5th year. Ify Onyenanum, not Onyemenum. 1st and 10 for the Carleton Ravens on the Laurier 35. Alex Gale across the 30, gain of 7, 2nd and 3 as Jahari Hastings chops him down.
A good play there by Hastings, but Gale, when been given the football, has done a nice job for the Ravens. That's his 10th carry of the afternoon, and this run by committee starting to, it's a bend but don't break moment here for the Laurier defense.
Hand off to Morin. Drives forward to the 30. A flag flies behind the play as his forward progress stopped short of the line to gain, and it looks like a penalty against the Carleton Ravens. It would be 3rd and 1 if the penalty was declined. So head coach Michael Folds and associate head coach Ron Van Moorkirk, who's also the defensive coordinator, making a decision here. And they will push Carleton back. So 2nd and long now for the Ravens.
It's probably a good call. Ravens, they're 2 for 3 on 3rd down for 67%. So Folds knew they were getting close to that Golden Hawk red zone area.
2nd and long for the Ravens from the Laurier 38. Lefebvre for McDonald, and that falls incomplete. Ewan McDonald with Malik Cote step for step with him, and that brings up 3rd and long now for the Ravens. This would be a 45-yard field goal attempt for the Carleton Ravens, and that is exactly what they're going to do. Brandon Forcier, 45-yard attempt. Is 20 yards. So Carleton comes up empty on that offensive drive, and that holding penalty looms large over the Ravens' head.
Absolutely. Now Forcier 3 for 4 in the field goal department, but that was the one he needed to make for Carleton to put them down 1 point. Have been 13-12, still 13-9, and a big break there for the Laurier Golden Hawks. But now this offense has to get in gear here with 7:21 left.
7:21 left to go in the fourth quarter. We're only 2 hours from when this game kicked off. This game with a rapid pace to it. Taylor Elgersma hands this, or play action to Quentin Scott, finds Ethan Jordan, and he dives forward. He'll be 2 yards short of the line to gain. Second down for the Golden Hawks as the favorite target, Jordan, makes the catch for Laurier.
Yeah, they've been using Jordan in those short yarded situations, and he nearly turned it upfield. I think Jordan also did slip a little bit on the turf, and it's going to be 2nd and short here, 2nd and 2 to be exact for Laurier.
2nd and 2 from their own 28 for the Golden Hawks. Handoff to Scott. He picks up a first down on the gain of 3.
Well, you know what, Quentin Scott, they struggled running the football up while picking up about 2, but they needed 2 there, so wise call to run it up the gut there for Quentin Scott. They moved the sticks.
Bassick Hayden back in the game for the Golden Hawks after going down injured on the last drive. He checks in for Quentin Scott. Atkinson and Stebbings, the slot backs, to Elgersma's left. Oja Talayo, the receiver. Jordan and Raiden Thorne to the right. Elgersma looks left. Atkinson can't make the catch. Tried to haul it in with the right hand. Falls incomplete. 2nd and 10 for the Golden Hawks. And that wind starting to pick up with 6 minutes to go in this fourth quarter, Jason.
Yeah, that wind's going to be a factor if Laurier can drive this football into at least Dawson Hodge field goal range. And as well, I think the wind passing-wise, too, for Elgersma. Maybe the ball got caught in the wind there. It was just a tad bit behind his receiver that time in Atkinson.
2nd and 10 right hash for Elgersma on his own 32. Needs the 42 for a first down. Screen pass to Bassick Hayden. Drives forward to the 36-yard line. Gain of 4 will bring up 3rd and 6, and Dawson Hodge to punt this one away into the wind. So Carleton's defense, like they've been doing all game long, stands up strong.
Well, that big blitz again, when the Ravens bring blitz, it does cause a lot of miscommunication there for the Golden Hawks. Though Elgersma, he was cool, calm there, got it off to Bassick Hayden, just couldn't get to the line to gain.
Hodge to boot this one away from his own 36. Low spiraling punt, bounces at the Carleton 44, and Ferdinand drives forward. Sidesteps a couple tackles. Kasim Ferdinand down the sideline, forced out at the 54-yard line, and a flag flies behind the play. They'll officially mark him at the 55, but we'll wait the call from the officials, as Carleton could start in better field positioning, or worst case scenario, they start in much worse field positioning.
Yeah, well, this big penalty looming here as we're getting towards close to 5 minutes left here in the fourth, and that penalty looks like it's on Carleton.
Holding against the Ravens. Zendru Altador called on the hold. So they'll start from their own 45. So they're 65 yards away from the end zone. They're down by 4 with 5:18 to go. And this wind's starting to howl and no longer going at Carleton's back towards the Laurier end zone. It's going from that far right corner at the Carleton end across to the left corner in the Laurier end. So more coming across the field as opposed to the length of the field, Jason.
Yeah, it's that slicing wind, and this is the biggest gust of wind we've experienced all afternoon here at University Stadium.
The interesting part about this stadium is the wind swirls around here, maybe not with the grandstand down as much anymore. As Lefebvre throws this one out, and that's a catch as Mafuta drives up and picks up a first down for the Carleton Ravens on the gain of 14. Harvey Mafuta, the third year from Toronto, gets his first catch of the game, and Carleton picks up a much-needed first down.
And what a time to make your first catch, move the sticks, and start this drive off on the right foot for the Ravens. Nice job by Mafuta to make the catch, go out of bounds, and more importantly, move the chains.
Mafuta had 12 receptions for 204 yards a season ago. Gain of 14 on that one. 1st and 10 for the Ravens from the Laurier 51. Lefebvre, deep shot. Jahari Hastings, incomplete. Can't pick it off. The Golden Hawks defense dropped 2 interceptions last week. Chris Haggart and Ayo Ajayi. And Jahari Hastings can't hold that one in, and he's still down on the turf and will be tended to by the training staff.
That would have been a huge play there for Hastings, who's had a nice game for the Golden Hawks, but just cannot control that football, bringing it to the ground, as once again, the Ravens and Lefebvre, they were looking for Mafuta, had him down the sideline, but good traction there from Hastings, but Hastings couldn't bring it on in, and I think he may have got the wind knocked at him, falling on top of that football right in his sternum area.
The official right there to make the call.
You did see the ball bobble just at the end there, so good call, I think, by the officials.
But again, they dropped 2 interceptions last week, so something that defensive back coach Willamoa might want to take into account as the practices go on through the season. Malcolm Thompson, the former Golden Hawk, still rehabbing an injury, hoping to sign with the CFL team in the next few weeks here as teams go on their run for a Grey Cup. And while he's rehabbing his injuries, he's helping out with the Golden Hawks defense and a coach on this Laurier squad. Kwaku Boateng, a former player with Trevon James. Those two are your defensive line coaches. 2nd and 10 here for the Carleton Ravens. So a lot of good young former players coaching here for Laurier. Lefebvre, screen pass to Gale. Lots of space, gets a block, and chopped down by Chris Haggart after the gain of 11. First down, give him 12 at the Laurier 39.
Good run from Gale, and using that big 210 frame out in the backfield, making the screen catch and moves the sticks. But once again, Hastings, he's like a heat-seeking missile.
Empty set for Lefebvre. Tristan Lefebvre, 23 of 32 for 222. No touchdowns, no interceptions. Ferdinand makes the catch at the 35, gain of 4. 2nd and 6 coming up as Onyenanum making the tackle for the Golden Hawks.
Yeah, good job by Onyenanum to just wrap up Ferdinand, really let him know where to go. So it's going to be 2nd and 6 coming up here for Carleton.
2nd and 6 for the Ravens from the Laurier 35-yard line. Lefebvre with Alex Gale in the backfield, 5 receivers in the set, 3 to his right. With 2 on the play clock. Lefebvre gets intercepted. Ethan Gregorczyk in a foot race. The true freshman linebacker, stiff-arming Gale down to the Carleton 24. Putting the OUA on notice.
What a way to get your first career OUA interception for Ethan Gregorczyk. They had one dropped earlier from Johari Hastings, but Gregorczyk comes up huge, and nice return as well, brings the football into Carleton territory. Laurier within striking distance to extend their lead.
In November, he was playing for the Holy Trinity Titans out of Curtis in the OFSA Simcoe Bowl Championship. He started week 1 against the number 7 Queens Gales on the road, tied for the team lead in tackles. He has 7 solo tackles here today. He has an interception, and the Golden Hawks have 1st and 10 at the Carleton 25. Raiden Thorne, incomplete in the end zone.
Thorne just couldn't hold on to that one, but once again, it's that great matchup of Thorne versus Louis Lavoie. And Laveau wins out on that one once again, as Thorne cannot complete control all the way down.
Louis Laveau's had a real good game at that boundary corner spot, and that's where you put your best defensive back, and Louis Laveau is proving that he is a force to be reckoned with defensively. 2nd and 10 from the Carleton 25 for Taylor Elgersma. Elgersma 21 of 31 for 193 in this one. Threw for 284 last week. Has a rushing touchdown. That's the only touchdown in this one for either team. Elgersma has to get it away quickly with Clark in his face. Jordan makes the catch. Gain of 5, flag on the play.
Maybe roughing the passer.
Nathan Clark came unchecked off the edge, and they're going to say it's roughing the passer against the Carleton Ravens.
Yep, that's exactly what I thought. Clark, who's had a great game for Carleton, just a step too late, hitting Elgersma as he released that football to Ethan Jordan, and it's now the ball spotted on the 5-yard line. Laurier has a big opportunity to break this one open.
1st and goal from the Carleton 5. Bassick Hayden, Quinton Scott, and Sebastian Parasolitis in the formation for the Golden Hawks. Thorne, Ojatalayo, and Atkinson, the receivers. Taylor Elgersma in shotgun. Quinton Scott. Touchdown, Laurier, 5 yards, and the Golden Hawks up by 10.
Big run there for Quinton Scott. He gets his first touchdown of the season and needed just some short yardage, but up the gut, and Scott accelerates through, and a huge touchdown here for Laurier. They're up 10 with the extra point, looking to go up 11, but that's what you need to do, capitalize off turnovers. They came at a low point last year, couldn't really get those turnovers, but Gregorczyk with a huge turnover, and Laurier cashes it in on the Gregorczyk interception.
Dawson Hodge on to attempt the extra point from 12 yards. Jackson Stebbings the holder, Jason McGugan the long snapper. 2.5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. 11-point lead for the Golden Hawks.
Huge job by this Laurier offense converting off to the turnover from Gregorczyk. As you said, Jack, putting the OUA on notice here is Ethan Gregorczyk, and then good touchdown right there and getting Quinton Scott in the end zone. A guy, he needs to get that taste in his mouth of what it's like to get back in the end zone. And Laurier now 2:30 up here, up 11 with 2:30 to go against this Carleton Ravens team, and all eyes continue to be on Laurier as they believe this is their year to win a Vanier.
Taylor Elgersma told Darren Stevenson of 519 Sports Online, it's Vanier Cup or bust this season for this Golden Hawks core. And you look at the explosive core that they have, Elgersma third year, Quinton Scott in his third year, Ethan Jordan in his third year. And then you add in Onyenanum back from the Argos for his fifth year. Their defensive back core, 3 starters that are fifth years, a fourth-year starter and a first-year starter, and that first-year starter is really in his second year because he was one of the best DBs on Simon Fraser last season in Jahari Hastings. Dawson Hodge to kick this one away from the Laurier 45. Harvey Mafuta. Sorry, that's Alex Gale. Steps out of bounds at his own 30. And the Carleton Ravens down 11. So they need a field goal, a touchdown, and a 2-point conversion to tie this game against the Golden Hawks with 2:24 to go in the fourth quarter.
Well, we've seen the Ravens, they can move this football against the Laurier defense. It's just they can't capitalize with the touchdowns in their last drive. Move the football, but unfortunately a penalty sets them back, and then Gregorczyk with the interception.
Brendan Almanua back on the field for the Golden Hawks defensively at that 3-tech defensive tackle spot. Lefebvre has to get away from Insetum. Tristan Lefebvre over the top, incomplete, intended for Ferdinand.
And just add that to the highlight tape for Chisenham Insetum, for a guy that's really having a sensational game. Ran right through his man and put the pressure on Lefebvre, was scrambling and able to get that football downfield, but avoids the sack. But Insetum continues to be a quality defensive lineman for Laurier.
So they're asking the clock operator to run 7 seconds off the clock. 2nd and 10 here for the Carleton Ravens with 2:18 to go on their own 30-yard line. 2nd and 10, Tristan Lefebvre, 25 of 36 for 238 and an interception in this one. Ferdinand and Mafuta move early. 2nd and 15 for Carleton coming up.
And if Carleton wants to make this comeback, you can't do stuff like that. Can't shoot yourself in your own foot by going offside. Got to know your snap count and the cadence from your own quarterback in Lefebvre. It's now a 1st and 15 from their own 25.
Third down territory for the Ravens. They don't have to get all 15 of it now, but it would be helpful as they have to go 85 yards to find the end zone. Down 11. Under 3 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Empty set, 4 receivers to the right for Lefebvre. Lefebvre off to Ferguson. He makes the catch. That's going to be a gain of about 7 yards, so they get about half of it done. The Carleton Ravens have a 3rd and about 7 or 8 coming up here, having to get to the 40-yard line, make it 3rd and 7 on the gain of 8.
Well, they gotta move the sticks here. This could potentially be the ball game.
Empty set, 3 to either side. Lefebvre gets it away. Tackle made, but a first down picked up. Frederick Hashi.
And Hashi's had a nice little game when called upon by this Ravens offense. He caught a big catch that brought the Ravens into the red zone area, and there moves the sticks on a third down that the Ravens absolutely had to have.
Needed 7, got 7. 1st and 10 for the Ravens. Over the middle, Lefebvre overthrows his receiver, Tristan Reddy. And that's going to bring up 2nd and 10.
Oh, he had Reddy, too. If Reddy was able to catch that football in stride, he just had to worry about finding a way to beat Nico McCarthy. But once again, Lefebvre just outside of the reach there for Reddy.
2nd and 10, 3 receivers to the right of Lefebvre. Ferguson, the running back. Lefebvre, pump fake. Ferdinand makes the catch. It's a gain of 6 yards. 3rd and 4 coming up for the Ravens. They've already converted on a 3rd down on this drive, but time ticking away here as Carleton picking up yardage in 5 to 7 yards at a time. They need it here on 3rd and 4. 100 seconds to go in the football game. Carleton down 11. Lefebvre quickly out to Tristan Reddy. And he picks up a first down. Down by contact as the ball was knocked loose by the turf. So that's a first down for the Carleton Ravens. And once again, converting on 3rd down.
Yeah, Ravens 4 of 5 now on 3rd down. And when you need it, you got to have it. And that's what Reddy does that time, converts for the Ravens.
Lefebvre, 1st and 10, tries to get away. Tristan Lefebvre down the field. That's caught by Kasim Ferdinand as flags fly after the play. And this might be against the Golden Hawks and push Carleton down to the Laurier 22. We saw Nathan Clark take a roughing the passer on the last drive for the Ravens. The Golden Hawks take a roughing the passer on this drive. And this one spots the ball on the Laurier 23-yard line.
And that's a penalty that you cannot have. It cost the Ravens when Clark did it. As Laurier put a touchdown on the board, will the Ravens be able to follow suit after the undisciplined play there by the Laurier defense?
And this is where the thought process gets interesting. 1st and 10. 5 receivers in the set. Lefebvre throws to the end zone for Ferdinand, and it goes incomplete. 2nd and 10 coming up for the Ravens. If Carleton doesn't convert on this 2nd down, do they kick the field goal now and then try the onside kick and know they have to go to the end zone if they can get the ball back?
I think you do. I think you got to find a way to take your points and trust what your special teams units can do with Forcier.
2nd and 10 from the Laurier 23. It would be a 30-yard field goal behind the back of Forcier. Delayed handoff. Ferguson met immediately, and guess who? Chisenham Insetum making the tackle, wrapping up Ferguson. A loss of 3 yards, so a 33-yard field goal would be the attempt. Or you can go 3rd and 13 if you're Corey Grant, and they waste no time and leave their offense on the field.
Well, they answered our question for us. The offense is on. They've converted 2 third downs, but this is their biggest of the football game.
3rd and 13, the Ravens need it to stay alive. Lefebvre to the end zone, touchdown! Ben Huckabone all alone, and Carleton knocking on the door with 51 seconds to go in the 4th quarter.
That's a breakdown in coverage right there by the Laurier secondary. Huckabone was wide open. It was just pitch and catch there from Lefebvre to Huckabone. And Huckabone, he's had himself a nice game as well on special teams, and they're a huge touchdown as the Ravens, they'll go for 2.
A 2-point conversion would bring them within 3 with 51 seconds to go.
Well, they got to get this 2-point conversion here. Got to focus on that. They need this 2-point conversion, and they move the football very efficiently on that last drive.
Ferguson is the running back on the 2-point conversion from the 5-yard line. Lefebvre to pass. He throws incomplete. Harvey Mafuda, the intended target. Jahari Hastings in coverage. 20-15, the Golden Hawks lead with 51 seconds to go in the fourth quarter. And the Carleton Ravens will more than likely be trying an onside kick here.
Good stop there by Laurier on the goal line as Mafuda just couldn't get that on his hands from Lefebvre, but biggest kick of the game right now, the onside kick, and you gotta have your hands team on if you're Laurier. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some extra receivers on. As Carleton, I believe they took a timeout here to talk it over.
Carleton Ravens call a timeout here. The Ravens kicking off from the 45. Remember, the ball has to travel to the 55 before Carleton can touch it and try and recover. Number of ways you can try this onside kick. A lot of teams like pooching it high up in the air, putting your best jump ball receiver at the sideline and swatting it out of bounds. That would be an effective way to do it, as the last to touch it before it goes out would get possession. Another way to do it is try and find the hole in the front line and pick it up and try and recover it naturally. But Forcier will have to get off a good kick here for the Carleton Ravens.
Well, I see Oja Lateo, I see Raiden Thorne out there, so as expected, some of the best hands that the Golden Hawks have are going to be out here on this onside kick attempt.
Darian Bassick, Hayden, Sebastian Parasolitis, and then you got the big guys who are out there to try and throw some blocks to not allow Carleton to go get the ball. Both kickers on the field now for the Carleton Ravens. Chandra and Forcier. Forcier to the right of the ball, and Laurier will call timeout.
Good timeout there by Michael Fault. He wanted to see what the setup was going to be from the Ravens on the special teams. He saw it, and now he can try to make the adjustments that need be.
Well, this is the interesting point of the season that we're at. The Carleton Ravens haven't played a game yet. They haven't tried an onside kick this season. And the Carleton Ravens dress two kickers on the road when you get less roster spots. So with both kickers on the field, you really don't know which way they're going to go. And because you don't have the film to see it, it makes it that much more difficult for the Golden Hawks to try and gauge which way this ball is going. 20-15, the Golden Hawks lead with 51 seconds to go. Fun football game to start week number 2 in the OUA, and we've got a good nightcap tonight in the OUA. York Lions travel to the Waterloo Warriors. That's across the street starting at 6 p.m. Toronto Varsity Blues hosting the Ottawa GGs, who snuck out a win against the Waterloo Warriors last weekend. Windsor and Guelph, an intriguing 1-1 battle in week 2 coming up. And then the Western Mustangs hosting the 0-1 McMaster Marauders, who lost at home to Windsor last weekend. Onside kick attempt for the Carleton Ravens with 51 seconds to go. Forcier puts it up. Raiden Thorne gets it and gets taken down at the Carleton 51-yard line.
That one just sailed off the foot from Forcier right into the hands of Raiden Thorne. If he almost made a man miss and went towards the end zone, but doesn't matter. The right guy for the Golden Hawks was the one to receive that, and Raiden Thorne, he makes the reception, and crisis so far is averted for Laurier with 48 seconds left.
Carleton should have one timeout left. 48 seconds to go, so they can stop the clock. This game not over by any stretch. With 48 seconds to go, double tight for the Golden Hawks. 1st and 10 at the Carleton 51. Quinton Scott's the running back. 3 receivers in the slot. To the left is Parasolitis. Motions into the formation. Quinton Scott trying to bounce it outside, and he gets forced out of bounds, so the clock will stop for Quinton Scott on the gain of 3 yards. 2nd and 7, so Carleton doesn't have to burn a timeout. Again, the clock doesn't start until the referee blows it in, but because he went out of bounds, it doesn't start until the snap.
And that's when Scott's got to find a way to stay inbounds, go down or something to keep the clock, finding a way to keep it moving. Now, as you said, Jack, Carleton still has that timeout in their back pocket.
Remember, the clock stops after every single play, no matter what. But if it's inbounds or a completed pass, it runs on the official whistling in the play. If it's out of bounds or an incompletion, it doesn't run. Quinton Scott, and he gets taken down at the 45, 4 yards short of the line to gain. Cave Philippe making the play on the boundary for the Carleton Ravens. And Dawson Hodge will have to boot this one away with 37 seconds left. And the Carleton Ravens call their timeout, so the clock won't start. That's their last timeout of the football game.
Yeah, that last timeout used here by Carleton, but their defense came up huge as Laurier couldn't find a way to pick up that first down, which essentially, other than that timeout being burned, could have iced the game. But now, 5-point game. This is going to be the most important punt the Golden Hawks have this year, early so far in the season.
Kasim Ferdinand, deep to return for the Carleton Ravens. Dawson Hodge from his own 44. High spiraling punt, and Ferdinand won't be able to return this one as Hodge's punt goes out of bounds at the 15, and they'll mark it at the 18-yard line, where Carleton will start this last drive of the game with 32 seconds to go.
Well, Carleton, on that last drive, they moved the football, had 3 big conversions on 3rd down, and now they need to, once again, move the football starting at their own 18. 32 seconds left. No timeouts for the Ravens. Can lightning strike twice for them?
Chris Povey, the public address announcer here at University Stadium, getting the crowd into it. 1st and 10 for the Ravens from their own 18. They need the end zone to win this one and upset the number 6 Laurier Golden Hawks. Lefebvre steps up, and he gets taken down by Luke Brubaker. Last week, he had a sack on the Queens' final drive of the game. This week, he gets a sack on the Carleton final drive of the game.
Well, Luke Brubaker, he has a boxing background. He's looking to put the TKO on here on the Carleton Ravens.
6'6", 260 pounds. Didn't play competitive football until he got to university. Never put on football pads until training camp 2021. Now one of the premier pass rushers in the OUA. He's after him again, and Lefebvre throws incomplete. Flag on the play, and an unnecessary roughness roughing the passer against Luke Brubaker.
So it'll be 3rd and 11 here. Unnecessary roughness. Well, that can't happen. That's 2 on the last 2 drives that the Golden Hawks have had unnecessary roughness penalties. I don't want to be near Coach Falls if I'm anyone on that sideline for Laurier, because those are undisciplined penalties that Coach Falls prides himself on discipline and structure, and you cannot have those. So a huge first down for the Ravens.
The 4 guys who would be in charge of talking to those unnecessary roughness guys, I wouldn't want to be around any of them. Kwaku Boateng, Trevon James, Michael Foltz, and Ron Van Moorkirk. One of the more mild-mannered people you'll ever meet, one of the most incredible humans you'll ever meet, but has an edge to him when his back's up against the wall. His team up by 5 with 13 seconds to go to the Carleton Ravens.